next round of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, as today we have the running of the South Point 400 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, a 267-lap, 400-mile race on this mile-and-a-half racetrack out in the desert in Vegas. Our second trip here and our first since, of course, the very beginning of the season, just a few races into the year. This will be a much different race, playoff implications on the line as our chase for the championship has gone from 12 drivers down to 8 for the start of today's race. So hope to bring you all of the action and much more throughout this afternoon. So thanks for everybody tuning in yet again for another live commentary NASCAR stream right here on KRC on our channel. Countdown to the command a little over a half hour away from there, so we got plenty to cover in this pre-race show. Obviously, with the 8 drivers that are vouching for these final 4 spots for the playoffs, we'll go over the point standings, leading into, of course, a starting lineup for today's race, the fantasy outlook, and all that and much more. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We have live NASCAR commentary streams every NASCAR race weekend, and, of course, content during the week as well. Again, on the daily, as far as our live commentary streams go, we only have 3 more NASCAR race weekends following this week. Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series each have 3 races left at Homestead, Martinsville, and Phoenix for the next 3 weeks. This is obviously our main event this weekend for the Cup Series at Vegas, so hope to have a lot of fun as we're headed down the home stretch and the most important time of the season. As you can see on the big screen, we've got the point standings in the background, and they will be scrolling across the bottom of the screen throughout the course of the race today, as well as some other major statistics on the top drivers in those statistic categories throughout the course of the season, also listed at the bottom of our ticker. As for the standings, again, we'll spotlight each driver who I think has the best chances of trying to make it to the championship 4 from here, what my original picks were, how that's faring out compared to now, and then we'll go over the fantasy league after that. So going into this race, Kyle Larson back to being the number 1 seed yet again, of course, having the most bonus points or playoff points of any other driver so far this season. Nets him 33 points above the cutoff line. He's really the only driver that can have a bad race and still get away with making it to the championship 4 on points. Obviously, if it comes down to him having to make it on points, he could go out and win one of these next 3 races. He's won at each of these racetracks in this round before. In fact, at Las Vegas, he won the spring race earlier this season. He's had great runs as of late as well. He's won 2 of the last 4 races, those 2 races at Bristol and the Charlotte Roval, both in dominating fashion, where he had led the most laps in both of those races, went on to win. 2 stage wins in both of those races as well, both of them coming at Bristol. So 12 playoff points just based off of the last 4 races alone, and that leads him into obviously where he's at right now. Again, 33 points to the good as we begin the race. Qualified well. He was quick in practice. I think he'll be a contender for the win here today. May go for that Las Vegas sweep here this season. Christopher Bell, who sits on the pole for today's race, should also be pretty quick. He's had great runs on mile-and-a-half tracks this season. He's got 1 mile-and-a-half track win, which was in the Coke 600 at Charlotte earlier in May. He's 13 points above the cutoff line, and he's been the most consistent driver so far through the entire NASCAR playoffs, through the round of 16 and now in through the round of 12 in the last round. He's got 9 top 10 finishes in his last 11 races, so dating back to Indianapolis, where he finished 4th, is that 11-race stretch. His only 2 finish outside the top 10, Watkins Glen and Michigan, in that stretch of races. His races in the last round, 7, 6, and 2nd, 2 top 5s in the round of 16, and again, Watkins Glen, the only finish in the playoffs outside the top 10. In fact, that's the only finish outside the top 10 he's had in the last 8 races. So, with that being said, I think Christopher Bell is a very strong case to make it to the championship 4. Same for Kyle Larson. Consistency has been key. Crazy thing is about Bell, his 3 wins this season were actually pretty early in the year. He hasn't won since New Hampshire, which was back in late June. So, although he has been super consistent, hasn't found his way into victory lane yet. He has never won in his career from the pole, so starting up there today, looking to make a first out of that. I think he'll have a good points day at the very least in this one. Just got to survive the restarts. He's going to have a quick car. We know the Toyotas are very good on the mile-and-a-half tracks with this next-gen car since their debut, and even this season as well, with the new nose and reconstruction of that car from the offseason to where we're at this year. They picked up pretty much where they left off and then some with this style of racetrack. But I do think those are 2 of the favorites for the win today, so being the top 2 in the point standings entering this race, that is obviously going to be very good for them as well. Tyler Reddick, plus 10 points entering this race today. I had him in my championship 4 before the playoffs started. He is the regular season champion. And if it wasn't for him winning that regular season championship, he would not have advanced last. Well, I guess technically he would have because Bowman got DQ'd, so never mind. But that seemingly looked like it was going to help him be the reason why he was able to advance from one round to the next. And also remember that he barely made it in through the round of 16. He survived by single-digit points there as well. He's definitely going to have to pick it up. He's only got one top 10 finish in the last, as we go back through his finishing order here. One top 10 in the playoffs so far, which was a 6th place finish at Atlanta. His last 5 races, his best finish is 11th, which was last weekend at the Roval. I do think he had a better car than that, but obviously having the issues they did on that one restart with Denny Hamlin, having the toe link issue, maybe some suspension problems they had to fix throughout the course of the day. They spent their time from deep in the field, made the right adjustments, made the changes to the car, the fixes they needed to get it competent enough for him to be able to drive up through the field, pass enough cars, save his season, advance to the next round. That is not going to be able to help him out here in this round. There isn't as many drivers, so the variables in other drivers having bad performances on a race-by-race basis isn't as likely. You may see 1 or 2 guys that might have another bad race or 2, and they definitely won't make it into the next round, but he can't bank on having to do that and make it on points. You have to be running top 5 pretty much from start to finish in all 3 of these races if you're going to want to be that one driver, at least the one driver, that's going to point your way into the next round of the playoffs. I don't see that same consistency out of him as of right now. If I had to pick based off of how the playoffs have gone so far, I would say Reddick isn't going to make it and is the least likely of my original playoff 4 that are still in the playoffs as of right now to make it to the championship 4. But I will stick with my not my regular season vote, but my pre-playoff vote in saying that Reddick is going to continue to make it. But I would say that I would not be shocked if he ended up getting booted. And honestly, the driver who I would end up booting him out for based off of recent playoff success would be William Byron, who is also above the cut line. Byron plus 4 points. He was the most consistent driver through the last round of the playoffs, although he didn't get a win. He did advance on points through the first 2 races alone, and that didn't stop him from not running well at the Roval because he ended up scoring some stage points, finishing 3rd in that race as well. So third, and second, top 3s in each of the last 3 races for Byron. His round of 16 performance, his only top 10 there was at Atlanta, so he just kind of skippered through the round of 16. So that real performance, expectation boost, I guess, through that last round for William Byron kind of came up out of nowhere. Look at the races he was running even before the 3-race round of 16. 27th at Daytona, 30th at Darlington. He had a 2nd at Michigan, which was a great run, but before that, 13th at Richmond, 38th at Indy. So there hasn't been consistent speed out of that 24 car since real early in the year when he had won his first 3 races of the season. Those first 3 wins this year for William Byron came in the first 7 points races, Martinsville, Coda, and Daytona. So it's been over 20 races since his last win. If he does have as much consistency as he showed in the round of 12, I think he will definitely make it to the championship 4, even though he's only 4 points to the good. I mentioned already you're going to have to run top 5 from pretty much start to finish in each of these 3 races if you're going to want to point your way in through the round of 8 into the championship 4. One driver is guaranteed to make it on points, and obviously we could end up seeing a bunch of more upset winners. That's kind of been the story of this playoffs. We've seen a lot of non-playoff drivers winning. I think it's less likely in this round because of the tracks we have, 2 intermediates and a short track, going to be a little harder. In fact, actually, I think Kyle Larson and Joey Logano are the only playoff drivers to win this postseason. Logano at Atlanta, and then Bristol and the Roval for Larson. But Larson could go out here and win again today, kind of keep that trend alive, but even if he doesn't, I would be shocked if we see a non-playoff driver winning in this race, just based on, again, the great performances we've seen on 1.5-mile racetracks from pretty much the 8 drivers that we still have left going for the championship. Outside of Joey Logano, he's the only one that hasn't really been as consistent enough on this style of racetrack. So he would definitely be the most shocking to win today if we ended up seeing a win. Even Chase Elliott, to a certain extent, would be shocking, although he has been consistent with good finishes on 1.5 miles. His only win came on 1.5 miles at Texas early in the year. So I think he'll have speed. I don't know if he's going to have that top 5 race winning speed, but he should have top 10 speed at the very least. in this one. But to go back on to William Byron, I didn't have him in my championship 4 when the playoffs started. Originally, I had Larson, Bell, Reddick, and Blaney, with Christopher Bell being my championship pick because I felt if he made it to Phoenix, he was going to be the one to beat there. He's been really good on the flatter, smaller ovals. Ryan Blaney, I think, is probably the second best driver to win the championship if he makes it to Phoenix, based on, again, the smaller, shorter ovals with the next-gen car. It's been Penske and Ryan Blaney's wheelhouse. Look at his wins this year, Iowa, and earlier in the year at Pocono as well. Even though that's a bigger track, it's a flatter track. Almost won Gateway, obviously ran out of gas in the last lap. Christopher Bell dominated the Phoenix race earlier this season, won there. Dominated New Hampshire, won that race. Led the most laps at Gateway before having the engine issues, which still resulted in him getting the top 10. But that race was definitely his to win. Then it was Blaney's to win, and none of them were able to get the win. But they have the cars to beat, I think, if we were to get into that scenario. So they are still my 1 and 2. I still like Blaney's chances of making it to the championship 4 just because Tyler Reddick hasn't shown the performance. Again, the last 5 races, he's finished outside the top 10. You can't have that happen. Obviously, the reason why he's at where he's at right now in the playoffs is because he won the regular season championship. So it does show the importance of running well throughout the course of the season, because if he didn't do that, he would have been bumped in the round of 16 with the performances in that round. But he made it in again by single digits. That ended up allowing him to advance there. Last round, if Bowman wouldn't have gotten DQ'd, the regular season championship would have saved him again there as he advanced by single digits again. So maybe that'll come into play when we get into Martinsville. Obviously, Homestead's a good track for him. He's pretty good on the 1.5-mile tracks, although at Kansas in the last round, the opener, in fact, in the round of 12 of the playoffs, he finished 25th, and he never really ran inside the top 10 outside of stage 1 early in the race. It was really weird. Usually you see 23XI Racing in contention for wins at Kansas. Obviously, Kurt Busch had won there in the 45 car before. Bubba Wallace won in the 45 car before. Tyler Reddick has a win at that racetrack, but you just didn't see him up there. He wasn't in contention the whole race, and even Bubba Wallace, for that matter, wasn't in contention the whole race. Both those 23XI Toyotas struggled, so they need to find more speed in this round. Blaney has had a lot more consistent speed by far than Tyler Reddick, and I would say he's probably the 3rd or 4th most consistent driver in the playoffs, only behind, Larson, Bell, and then Byron. In the last round, for Ryan Blaney, obviously 10th at the Roval last week. Had a decent day, scored a lot of stage points, which I'm surprised he had as good of a finish as he did for staying out to get those stage points in both stages. So it goes to show he actually had a pretty decent car. Scored some stage points at Talladega, obviously coming to the end of stage 2, got wrecked. Not a great finish there. But 4th at Kansas on the last 1.5-mile track, so that'll be noteworthy. 6th at Bristol, had a good race, and obviously had a good car at Atlanta, finished 3rd with probably the best car in that race. So his playoffs have gone by pretty well. Outside of the early crash on lap 1 at Watkins Glen and the crash he had at Talladega, he's ran pretty much as good of a playoffs as you can have so far. And that's why he's out where he's at. Again, limited bonus points, less than a Tyler Reddick. That could hurt him, especially today. Blaney wrecked in practice yesterday. He is starting at the rear of the field. I think for him to make it through the next round, at least by point standpoint, and not having to go into Martinsville and win the race like he did last season, he's probably going to have to leave this race today, in my personal opinion, within 10 points of the cut line. He's good at Homestead, but I don't know if he'll have a race-winning car there. He hadn't really before, although he was in contention for the win, I guess, technically last season. But the 1.5 miles this year in particular for Ford haven't been as good as what they were the first 2 years of the next-gen car. They've picked it up over the second half of the season. Again, Blaney finished 4th at Kansas, but he didn't really have a race-winning car, and I think that would kind of be the same for Homestead next week as well. So he's got to escape today. He's probably not going to get a lot of stage points in stage 1, if any at all, starting deep in the field with a car that has no practice. Again, being in a backup, but I expect him to have decent speed, probably get a top 10 by the end of the race, or at least flirt with it. Might need a little bit of help to make sure he doesn't lose a whole lot of points at that cut line. Reddick qualified well, and he was fast in practice, but that didn't really bode well for him at Kansas, so we'll see if that bodes well from here. But sticking with my gut, I know, I'm a Blaney fan, so I'm trying not to put bias into it. Maybe you could consider there is a little bit of bias in me taking Blaney, but again, going into the playoffs, I took the 4 guys who were the most consistent throughout the regular season, from the start of the regular season to the end of the regular season. And, the four, Larson, Bell, Reddick, Blaney, those ones screamed out to me. Now, I know Chase Elliott was consistent in the sense that he was high up in the regular season championship battle, but the last handful of races he had before the playoffs, he kind of dipped in performance. He was having consistent top 20 runs, and then that started to fade out once we got out of the Olympic break. So out of the Olympic break, he did get a top 10 at Richmond, but then Michigan was 15th, 36th at Daytona. We start the playoffs 11th at Darlington, 8th at Atlanta was his best run in that round, 19th at Watkins Glen, nowhere to be found the entire race there. Bristol, he ended up finishing in second, so that was a solid run. Go into the last round, 9th at Kansas, 29th Dega, 5th at the Roval. The Roval is best run in the last round. Seeing the intermediate track performance for him as of late, 9th at Kansas, 10th, Pocono 9th. Like, those are decent finishes. Those are good enough finishes to get him to where he's at right now. That's why he's in the round of 8. But again, he's going to have to step it up if he's going to make the championship 4. Starting this round in a deficit as well is definitely not going to help him, being, 9 points to the negative. Yeah, 9 points to the negative to start the round. So I don't like Chase Elliott making it in through the championship 4. Just doesn't have that top 5 speed on a week-to-week basis. And even early in the year when he was super consistent, he wasn't really running up in contention for many wins. He was consistently knocking off top 20s, which again will get you to where you're at right now, but he had that stretch of top 5s, Richmond, Martinsville, Texas with the win, Dover, Kansas, but ever since then, see, 1, 2, only 4 top 5 finishes since Kansas in the spring. And granted, 2 of those were in the last 4 races. Bristol and the Roval. I think Martinsville will be an interesting race in this round for Chase just because that's another short track like Bristol. So him finishing second there, that could be a high hope to have a top 5 performance. But on these intermediate tracks, Vegas and Homestead, we just haven't seen that out of Elliott. And really, we hadn't seen that out of Byron for a while until we got into the last round. So there is some hope there, but I'm not seeing it enough to put him in my personal championship 4. Haven't talked about Denny Hamlin yet. Hamlin minus 8 points coming into the round. I didn't like him to get into the championship 4 because it didn't seem to me that he had race-winning speed like he did early in the season. Once we got into that point of the Olympic break, or just after the Olympic break, we go to Michigan. He finished in 9th. Daytona 38th, not great. Darlington 7th, good run, top 10. But his playoffs haven't been that great either. As far as his finishes in the postseason, 24th at Atlanta, 23rd at the Glen, 4th at Bristol. Again, we saw him barely skimp his way into the round of 12. And then he kind of did the same thing again in the last round. 8th at Kansas, 10th at Talladega, 14th at the Roval, kind of similar to Chase Elliott last round. Consistent enough to get him through to this round. Gonna have to step it up a little bit more. And just like William Byron, we haven't seen him win a race since real early in the year. Byron had his first 3 wins of the season in the first 7 races. Well, first 11 races of the season is where Denny Hamlin got his wins. Bristol, Richmond, Dover. So 2 short tracks, and then an intermediate track that races like a short track at a 1 miler there as well. So best race in the round, I think, for Denny Hamlin to go out there and win the race, probably going to be at Martinsville, just like I mentioned with Chase Elliott. That will make that round of 8 finale very interesting because drivers that you're probably going to see below the cut line, if it is the same ones, they could literally all go out and win that race. And it wouldn't shock me, a Hamlin, an Elliott, a Blaney. Yeah, I think we're looking at Reddick and Blaney honestly being the borderline drivers of making it into the championship 4. I feel like those are going to be the 2 when we get down to the end of the Martinsville race if they haven't won at Homestead or Vegas. I think you're looking at Reddick and Blaney battling out for that last spot in points. Joey Logano just hasn't been good at all. I mean, I think he's literally going to have to win Martinsville if he's going to make it to the championship four, because his mile-and-a-half performances this year have just been awful. You look back at the Spring Vegas race earlier this season, ninth, but he didn't score any stage points in that race. He got 2 stage points in that race, so that's not going to cut it. That was a race where he just wasn't running well and then had a bunch of late cautions, and he was able to capitalize on getting a decent finish off of that. And that's kind of been Logano's memo through these intermediate tracks. Kansas, mile-and-a-half, 34th. Choke 600 at Charlotte, 14th. Other intermediate tracks, Nashville, he won, but he wasn't running in the top 10 that entire race. He literally had no stage points at Nashville. He was running outside the top 10 the whole day, and because he was able to save enough fuel, continue to stay out of the pits with those 5 overtime restarts we had in that one, he just slowly cycled to the front, and he was able to hold on. So good fuel mileage win for him there. That could have been why, again, I mentioned already, Penske really good on the flatter ovals, so that maybe leaned into his good run there. 34th at Indy, 33rd at Michigan on intermediates, 8th at Darlington, better, but not round of 4 worthy. And his playoffs since his win at Atlanta, 15th at the Glen, 28th at Bristol, 14th at Kansas, 33rd at Dega, and 8th last week at the Roval, which was just enough to get him in only because of the DQ from Alex Bowman. So, yeah, I definitely don't see Joey Logano making it. He's definitely the least likely to make it to the championship 4 out of these 8 drivers. He could go out there and win Martinsville. His short track performances have been great this year. Far and away, that's the best style of racetrack for Logano, outside of super speedways, of course, where he has a win at Atlanta. But you look at the short track performances this season, although Bristol wasn't that good, the flatter short tracks in specifics, he dominated, led all but the first lap of the race at North Wilkesboro in the All-Star race. Iowa, he finished 6th. I mentioned Pocono, he finished 5th. Gateway, he finished 5th. Martinsville, 6th, another flat track. Richmond, 2nd. The second Richmond race, obviously, although he finished 19th, he was leading going into the final corner before getting dumped by Austin Dillon. So the flatter short tracks, far and away, outside of super speedways again, for Joey Logano, best speed he's had all season. And he is capitalizing on putting himself in race-winning situations on those styles of tracks. So, although I think he's the least likely to make it to the championship 4, I do think, he's 1 win at Martinsville away, and he's won there before. In 2018, similar circumstance. That race he went in below the cutoff line. Although at that time it was the first race below the point standings, but the rest of the round didn't go his way after he had clinched the championship 4 spot for one reason or another, and fell back on that win at Martinsville to get him in. He could end up going to victory lane at Martinsville again here this season in the fall. Blaney won there last year. Again, the flat short tracks are very, very good for Penske, and I think they're going to be tough to beat when we get there. Don't want to have to bank on that to have to get there, but I personally think that that's what Logano's going to have to do. Blaney's been far more consistent on the intermediate tracks than any other Ford driver all season long. That's part of the reason why you didn't see as much consistency out of RFK racing this year as what we had seen last season. Buescher was close to winning at Kansas earlier in the year, but that was really the only mile-and-a-half track he was anywhere remotely close to getting a win at. Keselowski had a win at Darlington earlier in the season, but outside of that, again, intermediate tracks weren't as great for him through the rest of the year. Where Ryan Blaney 4th at Kansas on an intermediate 1.5 mile track. Pocono, he won. Indy, he finished 3rd. Nashville, 6th. Charlotte, he wrecked out of that one in the 600. 12th at Kansas earlier in the spring. Texas wasn't great. 3rd at Vegas earlier this year as well. A lot better finishes across the board. Not really race-winning speed on the intermediate tracks for Blaney outside of Indy and Pocono, which are similarly styled flatter racetracks, which again, I think are, good for Penske. I could see a Kansas day being about as good as what Blaney's probably going to do today. Third or fourth place finish would be great for Blaney because I don't think he's going to be one of the top 3 or 4 contenders for the win, especially with starting at the back, but I would have said that even before he had to start at the back of the field. So if he gets out of here with a top 10 finish today after starting at the back, and he has a clean race at Homestead, he'll probably have another top 10 there, and he can go out there and score a lot of points at Martinsville, and that's where I like his chances over Tyler Reddick. He'll need a little bit of help from Reddick because he is 14 points behind him to start the day. But as inconsistent as Reddick has been, or consistently inconsistent as Reddick has been since the playoffs have started, I definitely think that's possible. So that's my playoff outlook. Spotlighting all the drivers. I'm not going to change my championship 4 before the playoffs. My championship 4 again was Larson, Bell, Reddick, Blaney, with Bell being my championship pick. I would say Kyle Larson is definitely the favorite for the championship as of right now, based on how the playoffs have gone. I mean, how could you not after he dominated 2 of the last 4 races in those wins he had? So I think that is concerning for the rest of the playoff field, but that would pretty much be the only thing to take him out of it. Got some pre-race ceremonies going on at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, so I'll let you listen in.
Rejoice and be glad in it. And we are glad in it. Glad to be here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway and celebrate. We ask your blessings on all the fans watching on television, listening to the radio, and everyone in the stands, that this day brings you a measure of joy. Protect the drivers and the crews and the participants that make this race possible. We call out for your blessings on all those affected by Hurricane Helene and Milton. Please make their lives whole again. We are grateful for all the blessings we have received, both big and small, and all the ones that we are about to receive. Go with us today and give us the peace that only you can deliver. These things we ask in Christ Jesus' name. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome lead singer from the United States Navy Band Northwest's popular music group, Passage, Elizabeth Wetzel.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so bright at the dawn's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars there all the sky o'er the we're so gently streaming. And flag was still there. Oh, send us that star-spangled banner. O'er the land.
First round of the championship 4 is officially up for grabs. The round of 8 for the NASCAR Cup Series starts when we come back on NBC Sports.
All right, we'll have the command when they come back from the commercial break on NBC. Again, local NBC is where you can find and watch this race visually here today. Shout out to those of you watching in the chat here in the early going of the stream. I've got Killer, Kevin McKidd, JoJo, Kathy Smith, Bond1771, Bubba Davis, and others. Thank you for tuning in here for this stream. Any streams or a better Discord server that streams races? I have no clue as far as like visual aspects, like outside of the U.S. where you can watch it, but obviously I'll have full flag-to-flag commentary for you here, let you listen in to the race broadcast from time to time, so I'm doing my own commentary throughout the course of the races as well for the last couple of seasons, so feel free to stay here. We'll have all the action covered for you. We'll have a live leaderboard, obviously, when the race begins as well. Might even be able to get that on screen now. Yep, there we go. Got our starting lineup on screen. We won't go through the starting lineup quite yet. We'll wait till after the command to fire engines for this race today. If you're not in our fantasy league yet, I highly recommend that you join. It is on the NASCAR.com website or the NASCAR mobile app. As you see here on NASCAR.com, there will be a quick link section on the screen, and there will be a Fantasy Live tab. If you click on that, that will take you, obviously, to the fantasy leagues. All you need is your email to sign up. It is free. And if you join our league and win our league championship, you do get a chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing the following season if you win our regular season and or playoff championship. And this year only, we're doing 2 winners for the playoffs. So the top 2 in playoffs will get the grand prize, each week you pick 6 drivers. It's a rotating 6. You don't have to have the same guys every week. In fact, you can only start a certain driver 5 times, as you see on my screen here, throughout the playoffs and 10 in the regular season. And you have until the end of stage 2 to lock in your starting 5 of those 6. So if somebody gets into an incident early, has mechanical issues, you can plug them into your garage and it doesn't count as a usage. This is my team this week. I've got Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Kyle Larson, and Tyler Reddick. And as far as the head-to-head picks, I have Christopher Bell over Kyle Larson this weekend. I have William Byron over Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick over Ryan Blaney, and Chase Elliott over Joey Logano. Each of those bonus picks are worth 10 points each. And if we look at the league standings for the playoffs coming into this weekend, it is still tight with 4 races to go. Inside Uranus, who is the defending regular season and playoff champion, he is currently atop the leaderboard at 1,185 points. Frank T26, who's coming off a runner-up in the regular season, he's only 19 points back in second. And then you got the Plow V3, who's only 25 points out of first and third. Hercules Harrigan in 4th place in the point standings, minus 81. And Nathan Daniel Powers rounds out our top 5 as of right now. He is only 96 points behind. So less than 100 points for each of those teams. And last week we saw our winner at at the Roval, points-wise in the Fantasy League, score over 250 points. So a lot of these guys and gals definitely in contention. I'm at 1,068 points in 8th. Dega hurt me. I didn't even get 100 points. That one was a big blow as to why I'm as far back in the points as I am right now. But again, top 2 will take home our grand prize this time around. Monster Jam X10 was our regular season champion this year. So as he tries to get the sweep like Inside Uranus did last season, he is currently 7th in points at 1,078. So that is an outlook on the Fantasy League. Log out of here real quick. And I'll play more of the broadcast leading up to the command, and then we'll go over the starting lineup soon after that.
And the championship. Time to let it ride in Vegas, because rebirth is eternal in the desert. Welcome to the South Point 400.
You know, we're in a venue that is synonymous with big. That's what Vegas is all about. Championship opportunities. And what we'll see today in this spectacular venue, if someone will let that championship slip through their fingers, but also someone will find it within grasp.
The playoffs have been all about survival for Denny Hamlin. DJ, can he find another level in these next 3 races? I think he's motivated now. Brad put him in his final 4, so I think that's going to be a plus for him. But what we need to see is the Denny Hamlin and team that won 3 of the first 11 races. So DJ stood up for Christopher Bell. Steve was barking, saying not enough people are talking about him. Do you agree that not enough people are paying attention to Bell?
Throughout these playoffs, Christopher Bell has averaged a 6th-place finish, which is the leader amongst all of these playoff drivers. Absolutely. He is lights out fast, and he will be tough to catch today.
DJ, when a 2-time champion gets new playoff life, what does that mean for the rest of the playoff field? Enjoy. Restart. Joey Logano is the man to keep your eye on. Gonna be fun. Who races for a title in 3 weeks in Phoenix? Let's get the engines fired here in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas Motor Speedway. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. Please welcome UNLV head football coach, Barry Odom. Las Vegas, welcome to the sports capital of the world. Drivers,
Sports capital.
your engine.
You're going to have that day to compete for a championship, but you've got to find a way to make something out of it. Ryan Blaney, the defending champion, already dealing with adversity. A lap one practice crash is sitting to a backup car with no practice whatsoever. All of his competitors are starting at the front. How is he going to make something out of it? We're going to find out when we come back.
Engines are cranking, and we'll go over the starting lineup for today's South Point 400 right here on KRC. Christopher Bell on the pole for yet another mile-and-a-half track this season. He has yet to win from the pole in his NASCAR Cup Series career, so looking to put a 1 in that column and look for his 4th win of the year that could propel him to the championship for today. Tyler Reddick, our regular season champion, looking for his first top 10 in the last 6 races coming into this one here today. As he starts outside of the front row in second, Reddick was also fastest in practice yesterday afternoon. Alex Bowman, who was just eliminated from the playoffs after a heartbreaking disqualification last weekend after the Roval, looking to rebound and go to victory lane at a track he had won at with the next-gen car in 2022 spring race right here in Vegas. And Denny Hamlin, a former Vegas winner as well, will start outside of row 2. Kyle Larson, last week's winner at the Roval and a 2-time playoff winner already this season. 6-time winner on the season as a whole, looking for win 7. He starts inside of row 3. Larson was the spring Vegas winner earlier this year. Carson Hocevar, rookie, will start in that row as well. Another great qualifying effort for him in recent weeks, as he'll be starting 6th in row 3 as well. Ross Chastain, who won the last mile-and-a-half racetrack at Kansas, looking to double down with another win in the playoffs as a non-playoff driver. He'll be inside of row 4. Ty Gibbs still looking for career win number 1, also in row 4. In row 5, 2 playoff drivers, William Byron, Joey Logano, line up in that row, both former Vegas winners. Austin Cindric with Martin Truex back in row number 9. And row 10, rounding out the top half of the field, will be Bubba Wallace and Kyle Busch. Busch, the hometown native. Another hometown native from Las Vegas, Nevada, just starting behind him. Noah Gragson inside of row 11, had a top 10 earlier this season at this track. And Chris Buescher, another non-playoff driver who has won a playoff race, looking for another one. He won at Watkins Glen a handful of weeks ago, also starting in row 11. Behind them in row number 12 will be Daniel Suarez and Chase Briscoe. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the Talladega winner from 2 weeks ago, on the inside of row 13, with John Hunter Nemechek to his outside. Eric Jones, Josh Berry will line up in row 14. Row 15, Jimmy Johnson and Todd Gilliland. Good to see 7-time back at the racetrack yet again here this weekend. Obviously in the 84 for Legacy Motor Club, that is the only non-chartered entry car this weekend. Harrison Burton, Ryan Preece in row 16. Row 17 for Daniel Hemrick and Shane Van Gisbergen. SVG's in the 16 for Colleague Racing, looking for more experience on ovals before he goes full-time cup racing next season. And last, Ryan Blaney again, a lap 1 practice crash yesterday. No qualifying and no laps in that backup car entering this race here today. Blaney had ran over a piece of debris on the racetrack leading to that flat tire and the spill in turns 1 and 2 he had. So he's definitely got the steepest uphill climb in the race today of any of those 8 playoff drivers. And again, our scheduled distance, 267 laps, 400 miles today. Stage 1, 80 laps. Stage 2, 85. And the final stage will make up the final 102 laps. So slightly similar stage lengths for the race today. Strategy going to be pretty even through most of those stages. You're going to see a lot of pit stops during the halfway points in the stages for a lot of those front runners. Again, assuming we obviously get longer green flag runs. Sun is out, but a moderately cooler weekend than usual fall races here at Las Vegas. Temperatures in the 70s. Wind not as gusty as it was yesterday during practice. And local time here today, just before noon local time. So we're going to see those track temps heat up as we get further along the day. Usually in the NASCAR Cup Series, we have races that start in the late afternoon, end in the dusk or nighttime. But this is going to be a little bit opposite of that. We're starting in the late morning. We'll finish this thing in the middle of the afternoon. On the call in the NBC booth, Lee Diffie, Steve Letarte, and Jeff Burton. And again, you'll get to listen to them periodically throughout the course of today's broadcast. You can vote for who you think is going to win the race today in our chat poll. 64 votes have been casted already up to this point in the stream, and the race hasn't even begun yet, so greatly appreciate that. You have until the end of stage 2 to vote for who you think will win. 42% of those votes taking Kyle Larson as of right now. 30% taking somebody other than Larson, Bell, or Reddick. Reddick at 19% of the votes. Again, he was fastest in practice yesterday. Christopher Bell, our pole sitter, only at 9% so far. Gail Opplinger, thanks for tuning into the stream as well. Blaney won't make it unless he wins at Martinsville. There we go. That's a prediction. I mean, I respect it. I'm curious. JoJo taking Larson, Bell, Blaney, Hamlin in the championship 4. So he's got Hamlin instead of Reddick for my preseason. And he also has Hamlin over Byron too, which, like, if I had to edit my championship 4 pre-playoff prediction, I would swap Byron for Reddick. But obviously I'm still going to stick with it. Might be the first time ever that I would have had all 4 championship 4 drivers in the championship 4 if that happens. So, you know, with that being said, I'm probably not going to be right with the originals. I do think Reddick is probably the weakest link of those 4. Honestly, I'd say the biggest shocker, you know, like I mentioned already, would be Logano to make it to the championship 4. I think Chase Elliott kind of falls somewhat close to that category as well. Just because him starting at the deficit and the race winning consistency has not been there since very early in the year for him. But it's been the case like that for Hamlin too. And even Byron up until 3 weeks ago, really. Last 3 weeks, Byron turned it on. And as we go into, you know, 2 intermediate tracks these next 2 weeks, I'm really, really curious to see if he's able to keep that same consistency up. And 3 straight top 3s coming into this race for the driver, the 24. And obviously he was in the championship 4 last season, along with his teammate Kyle Larson and Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell. Who knows, maybe we have a repeat of the same championship 4 from a year ago. Checking pit road times as of right now. And we'll be going green in another couple laps. Our light goal for today will be 100. We are already at 38 before the start of this one here today. Just greatly appreciate everybody that has hit the like button. Other things to look out for during the course of the stream. Again, those fantasy lineups do lock at the end of Stage 2. I mentioned already the chat poll ends after the finish of Stage 2, and we'll also have our usual diecast showing there as well. Some of those stats scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Others that aren't at the bottom of the screen to watch out for as far as stat padding goes here to the end of the season. Christopher Bell, most top 10s of any driver this year with 20. And he needs to lead 156 more laps to get to 1,000 laps led on the season. Denny Hamlin is only 82 laps led away from getting to 1,000 laps led on the year. And Kyle Larson has led 1,600 plus laps led. 1,614 is that number he's at currently. And again, he won at Vegas earlier in the spring, so has to be one of the favorites coming into the race today. He leads in a lot of those major statistical categories. Larson has the most wins with 6. He has the most top 5s with 13. Most laps led with, again, 1,614. Most stage wins with 12. But he is 4 top 10s behind Bell for the most there. And other drivers who actually beat Larson in the top 10s list this season would be his teammate William Byron, who has 1 more with 17. Tied with his teammate Chase Elliott at 16. Tyler Reddick also has more top 10s with 19 as well. That would be really the only major category he isn't leading in. And that's also with 1 less race that he has ran so far this season. Chase Elliott leading with the fewest DNFs this year. Only 1 DNF for him. Everybody else has 2 or more in the series. And of the remaining playoff drivers, Tyler Reddick also only has 2 DNFs. Ryan Blaney has the most, 7. 2 of them coming in the playoffs. Christopher Bell has 6, Larson with 5, are the most of those remaining playoff drivers. Logano also up there with 6 of them. Most of those were earlier in the season. Lights have been out on the pace car, so we will be going green this time by. Again, Christopher Bell is our pole sitter. And he has chosen the inside line for this initial start. The inside looked to be the preferred line during the course of the Xfinity Series race yesterday. A lot of drivers having issues with spinning their tires on that upper line, so we'll see if that'll be the case here in the Cup race today as well. Obviously, more experienced drivers in the Cup Series field than one we see at the Xfinity Series race level. As that may play a differentiating factor also. Pace car is running down on pit road right now. Bell gets out of the restart zone. Great launch. Green flag in the air. And we're underway in the South Point 400 at Las Vegas. Brad Keselowski, only car going down to the apron on the initial start after crossing that start-finish line. 3 wide just around where he was entering turn 1. And also 3 wide just inside the top 10. Ty Gibbs, Joey Logano, William Byron with Logano way in the middle. Gibbs almost scraping the wall down the back straightaway, trying to stay wide, losing track position with 2 of the cars underneath him. And the only car up in that very third outer lane through 3 and 4. Pole sitter Bell leads lap 1 here today at Vegas. Still 3 wide around Truex, Logano, and Byron. Logano, Byron have been gridlocked with each other the entire opening lap and beginning of this second lap. Big run to the bottom of the racetrack for Tyler Reddick. Almost pulled to the inside of his Toyota counterpart, Christopher Bell. And now through 3 and 4 on lap 2. Still seeing some movement through the field. Ross Chastain, few positions gained from the start up to 4th place, getting by Hamlin, Larson. And Alex Bowman remains up in 3rd, just behind the top 2 Toyotas in the field. Joey Logano losing a few spots, falling back to 9th. Rookie Carson Hocevar on lap 3, getting by him through turns 1 and 2. Truex still in line just behind him. Aggressive block by Larson into the back straightaway on Hocevar. Hocevar to lift a little bit extra going off into turn 3, and Logano may get that spot on the rookie. Side by side, couldn't clear him. Truex going to work with the 77 of Hocevar. Bump drives him down the front stretch as they both stay in front of the 22 of Logano on the inside. Now Truex to the outside of Hocevar. Logano back to the bottom, 3 wide again. It's a battle for 8th. Truex clears them both. Truex is one of the faster cars in practice. His fastest of the Group A drivers in his practice session. And I believe, if I remember correctly, he was 2nd fastest overall. Qualified just outside the top 10. So looking to gain some positions here in the early portion of this race. And so far he has been able to do so. I'm aware that our leaderboard is frozen. For anybody that may be wondering in the chat. So it looks like we're having issues with the raw feed again on NASCAR.com. That will become available at some point in the middle of the race. We've had this issue, of course, many times already this season, unfortunately. Too many to count, at least. It only seems to happen during the Cup Series races, so I will have to pull up FoxSports.com here in a matter of moments. So I'll let you listen into the race broadcast while I pull that up.
Ryan Blaney, this is a deep breath sort of start for the 12 car. The weekend didn't go good. Flat tire, backup car. We heard him in pre-race. Thank all of Team Penske for preparing this car. Don't try to make it up in the first 7 laps, Marty, right? Take a breath. Know what you are. You're the reigning champ. Have a little confidence. You'll get there.
And that was the message, Steve, this morning from Jonathan Hassler to Ryan Blaney. Listen, don't worry about stage 1 points. If we can get there by stage 2, that's fantastic. You mentioned all the work, Steve. They stayed until 9 p.m. last night, came in at 6:30 this morning to finish getting this car ready. And then a little simple radio transmission from Tim Pena with a spotter to the crew chief, Jonathan Hassler. He said, no rubs on the car. Steve, when you have fewer laps on a car, how important is that little bit of information to say, hey, you got it right. We're not having any issues so far.
Yeah, Marty, you build so many cars over the course of the year, and so many go to the racetrack without issue that you assume you could do it when it matters in the race. This is that accident, flat left rear tire, and a very hard hit on the driver's side. But just because you think you could prepare a car for the racetrack doesn't mean that everything will go smooth. So your nerves are settled to know that the car's out there and no obvious mechanical issues.
There is a little bit of magic in television, but there's a lot of hard work. Just ask our man, the mayor, Jeff Burton, has had to come from down trackside all the way up here to the top of the stands. Welcome, mate. A little bit of a sprint, but
Compared to what these guys are having amongst the competitors down on pit road, I told Lee here, I feel like it has a different feel. Only 10 laps in, you can tell where we're at in the playoffs. Did you feel that on pit road?
Oh, there's no question. You can see it in faces. You can see it in crew members' faces. You walk by, pit crews getting warmed up before the race. You see the nervous energy that they have. It's go time. You make it happen now, or your year could be over.
here's one guy who wants to be a champion in the 24, William Byron, up against a man who really wanted to stay in the playoffs, Martin Truex Jr., now down to his final 4 races.
How about the stats of these 8 drivers? We mentioned 177 wins, but 61% of the laps. They've led over 60% of the laps run. Everyone loves an underdog. Of course, it's a great story. But every once in a while, Div, I don't want an underdog. Every once in a while, I want a toe-to-toe heavyweight battle.
Yeah.
I want to see punches traded. And I think that's what we're going to get for this entire round.
Speaking of that, head-to-head with the big names, early this season there was a lot of aggravation. There was a lot of talk, and from both camps. We have not seen these two on track very often in the second half of the season. These two being Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson.
Well, unfortunately, that stat doesn't bode as well for Hamlin because Larson's kind of held up his end, winning a couple races already in the playoffs. You heard Denny even mention it. I asked him what it was like to be in the postseason.
Nice to be here.
Nice to be here. I mean, that tells you that these first 6 races have just been abnormal for the 11 car. Their approach, their execution, such a methodical group. But the other thing I heard, I know Denny very well. I've been around him for years. There was not a lot of lightheartedness. He answered the questions. He was very, nice and cordial to the fans that tuned in. But he was very focused. He obligated the interview, but he was ready to get going.
Kyle Larson has had 6 wins this season. 5 of them have come since Denny Hamlin won his last race. That was at Dover, round 11 earlier this year. Denny would love nothing better than to get a win here in Vegas. However, it's one of his JGR teammates out in front to the tune of almost 1.5 seconds. Bell the man.
Bell with the race lead, 1.3 seconds over second place Tyler Reddick. Christopher has led every lap from the start of the race on the pole position so far. Alex Bowman remains in third right where he started. He's 2.4 seconds off the lead. Ross Chastain is in the fourth place position. Waiting for the interval to update on our screen here. Currently having to use foxsports.com for the live race leaderboard until we get the raw feed back up and running on NASCAR.com side of things. By we, I mean them. I have no control over that. I just have to keep refreshing my page. Chastain's 5.8 seconds off the lead already in fourth. Kyle Larson is up to fifth during the commercial break at 5.9 seconds off the lead. Denny Hamlin in sixth, 6.1 seconds back. Joey Logano, seventh place now. Waiting for the update to see how far up the lead he is. Logano started 10th, so he is up 3 positions. Come on now. It's clearly not a lap down, so that ain't right on the leaderboard. I might have to refresh it here, too. That didn't work. While we await that on the leaderboard update, I guess we'll just go through the entire field running order instead for the moment. Again, Christopher Bell leads this race. He's led the first 19 laps from the pole now. Tyler Reddick sits in second. Alex Bowman third. Ross Chastain fourth. Kyle Larson in fifth. Denny Hamlin sixth. Joey Logano seventh. William Byron eighth. Chase Elliott in ninth. Ty Gibbs rounds out the top 10 in 10th. Austin Cindric in 11th. Martin Truex Jr. 12th. Brad Keselowski 13th. Carson Hocevar 14th. And Chris Buescher 15th. Justin Haley 16th, 17th for Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch 18th, Noah Gragson 19th, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 20th, Michael McDowell 21st, Daniel Suarez 22nd, Zane Smith 23rd, Ryan Blaney up to 24th, Austin Dillon 25th, Ty Gillen 26th, John Hunter Nemechek 27th, Eric Jones 28th, Daniel Hemrick 29th, and Jimmy Johnson 30th. Josh Berry 31st, Ryan Preece 32nd, Corey LaJoie 33rd, Chase Briscoe 34th, 35th for Harrison Burton, 36th Cody Ware and Shane Van Gisbergen, and 37th as that rounds out our field of 37 cars. Currently working lap 20 out in Vegas. Bell's lead has increased to 2.2 seconds during the course of that last commercial break. And he circuits around to lead another lap off of turn 4 right now.
Went away from him from there. Well, he's far exceeded that point, Jeff. Going lap 21 now, and he is clearly out in front, increasing his lead. And you know what? He's less than probably a third of a lap from lapping the back of the field.
Yeah, he's flying. He's about a half a second faster than the guys running at 11th, 12th, 13th. So he's almost a second faster than some of the guys in the back. And when you're a race car driver and you have that much pace, it feels great. You have comfort. You can be aggressive. You can drive the car, make script, and it just keeps telling you, drive me harder, drive me harder. And that's what you want as a race car driver. And it just makes lap time, and you can make others' days miserable when you're this fast.
So the man doing the chasing in the 45, Tyler Reddick. Highly eventful Roval last weekend. This is going more to plan so far, Marty.
Boy, you mentioned it, Lee. What an incredible performance by this entire team to get Reddick even up around the eight. They looked like they were in trouble in that race, but they worked on the car. And Billy Scott made an incredible call late in the race to put new tires on Reddick, and Reddick had to earn it. And Billy told me this morning, he said, the interesting part about that I didn't think about is the confidence that gave Tyler Reddick. He's the one who made that happen. We put him on offense, and he delivered. And when you can deliver for Michael Jordan, that's a big thing. If Jay is here in Las Vegas today, not in his normal seat, right behind Billy Scott. He is sitting on pit wall, taking in everything going into turn 1, Dylan.
Denny Hamlin has lost just one spot since the start of this race. A small detail that may help Hamlin in the race car, just given from his crew chief, Chris Gabehart, on the radio.
Brake pedal or gas pedal. Well,
Using both like that can sometimes hit the balance of the race car. Chris Lambert, the center up on the roof, just said they should use all of the track on the exits. So some fine tuning the racing line and racing route. Hamlin right now in the 11
Promised said they would make way into the top 10 during stage 1 after starting 18th. And I sat down with the team this morning and asked, you guys outside the top 10 in the last few Vegas starts. Where did you kind of start for your setup this weekend? And Alan told me a cumulative effort at HMS throughout the week. It is an absolute celebration. They looked heavily on what the Fox team has brought the last couple of races. When they have won, they took that as their starting point and massaged on it to make it best for what Chase needed. They believe they have a car that could potentially win here this afternoon.
What a start. So productive, so promising. And Chase's words leading into this weekend and to the round of 8, he says, if you get to this point, you really know that it's on. It's game on from here out. So he's surging forward. So too is Ryan Blaney, who started at the back of the field. And let's have a listen to some recent radio.
He always makes me laugh. He's frustrated because they're blocking. That's what they do all the way through the field, right, Jeff? I mean, they're racing as hard back here as they do up front.
I'd say they race harder back here, but a great start for this 12 car. You know, no practice. Had to rely on the setup from the 22 car. A little bit of adjustment based on the different drivers, but you know, to roll out of here and be 20th takes a ton of pressure off of them from Bell's pace. Bell is so fast. If they weren't right, the Bell could come around and actually put them in jeopardy of being a lap down. And really, that's what this part of the race is about for this team, is just moving forward and not putting themselves in a position that they got to make up too much.
Ryan mentioned earlier in Countdown to Green, look, it's going to be pretty hard to get up there and get stage points. Certainly in the first stage, we'll do our best. Well, in a position to get stage points is that number 9. That Napa Chevy of Chase Elliott. Phenomenal performance, gone past his teammate William Byron, and just keeps surging forward. Bell, Reddick, Bowman, Larson, Hamlin, the top 5. Joey Logano doing well in 6th. Then you pick up Ross Chastain in the bright blue Trackhouse Chevy. But nobody has anything at the moment for Christopher Bell. Leading, has led every lap, and he's 2.5 seconds out in front.
Can't see the lap by lap times necessarily here on this leaderboard compared to our usual raw feed, but that gap has trimmed down a little bit between Bell and Reddick, and I think some of that is because Bell is getting into lap traffic at this point in time. Tough to tell in this leaderboard because the intervals seem to be a little bit more on the wonkier side of things, but the lead is down to 1.9 seconds. It was 2.5. Maybe Bell pushing so hard earlier in the run, burning his tires up. May start to see green flag pit stops begin at about another 10 laps or so. A lot of these teams may be going to try to split this first stage of 80 laps in half. They can go a little over 60 laps on a full fuel tank, so for some of those drivers maybe at the back end of the lead lap looking to catch an early caution, gain some track position, they may end up staying out until we get about 15 to 20 laps to go in the stage on a split strategy. But a lot of these leaders, I imagine, are going to end up pitting probably during the next run when they come back from the commercial break. It is full screen right now on NBC. And again, your top 10 currently holds Christopher Bell in the lead, Tyler Reddick second, Alex Bowman third, Kyle Larson fourth, and Denny Hamlin fifth, same as it was last commercial break. Joey Logano up to 6th now. Austin Cindric up to 7th as he just passed Ross Chastain, who's back in 8th. Chase Elliott in 9th. And William Byron rounds out the top 10. Biggest movers of the race so far, Ryan Blaney up 19 positions. Make that 18 positions from 37th. It looks like he's actually up to 17th now. So 20 spots gained for Ryan Blaney in the first stage of this race. Chase Elliott started 18th and is up to, was in 9th, now he's back to 11th. So back to 7 spots gained for him. He was as high as 8th in the running order at one point. Both he and Byron are kind of slipping back on this long run. William Byron started 8th. He's back to 12. 4 spots lost for him. And now he's in 10th again. I don't know what's up with this leaderboard. There's no way Elliott lost 2 spots and then gained them right back that quickly. I still can't wait for the raw feed to come back up on NASCAR.com. As it stands, as you still see on the screen right here, it is still stuck on the warm-up laps, and we do have pit stops.
3 green flag pit stops. Joey Logano already got into service, and he was 2-3 to charge. 4 tires and fuel, Jim.
He did make a chassis adjustment. Said too tight to take off. 4 tires, no go fuel, Marty.
William Byron made no progress. Just hands full with the handling. So the car is a little bit too tight. He can't feel the fronts, but also the rears are slipping as well. Fairly significant adjustments here from the 24.
It looks like a speedway race. Everyone hitting on the same lap. Brad Keselowski was the first to dive to pit road. Here's the focus. Here's the pressure. The man untouched for 35 laps. Christopher Bell and this Rheem Toyota. Topic of conversation pre-race. Not taking that number 1 pit stall
taking number 6. And here comes Tyler Reddick as well. Kim.
And interesting, I talked to the crew for the 20 team, asked if there's more or less pressure. They said more pressure taking pit stall 6 because there's not right now. Christopher Bell said it's fired up absolutely perfect. Looking for a fast stop here as they take more pressure. Go to your tires. Go field, Marty.
The fine Christopher Bell on air first run. Is it the far? It's not. It's in the throw up. We're looking at 2-3. Bill Tiger for long here around. Going to make a small change here to the 45.
Bishop pit work. Blaney back in traffic, but up on positions. You see there, Blaney right there. Chase Elliott right in front. Remember, Blaney started dead last on the field in a backup car. This 12 car has had a really nice time. Currently staying on the racetrack, running a little long, hoping for a yellow. He had such a good start. I would think they would have pitted with the leaders, but Jonathan Hassler deciding to run a little bit long here. Let's take a look at the 9 pulling out in front of the 43. Snuck by. We should see Blaney, I would imagine, any lap. I think that they're just going to go to the middle, which is lap 40, but scary situation right here as you see how much faster the new tires are. Now, for drivers like Denny Hamlin, who's a lap down to Blaney, you want to get up here and unlap yourself in case a caution does come out. So Hamlin going to try to make short work of this 12th car on older tires.
And does so. Promising start for Hamlin here in Vegas. It's been solid. As he mentioned, if you weren't with us right at the top of the show, he told Steve, when Steve radioed in, he said, hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Nice to be here. Now we know what we've got to do. Don't do anything crazy just yet, but we know we have to be cautiously aggressive as the round of 8 begins. All right, so how far can Blaney go?
I think this lap. I think right here he's going to come. This is 40 dead in the middle. I would imagine it's just a math equation for those guys. They're going to run 40 laps on each set of tires, not come early. If you look at how tires work, if you put 40 on each, that's the most efficient way to run 2 sets. Now, a lot of other things go into it. So right here, he's going to come down pit road, have his pit stop. Assuming everything's smooth, he'll lose time to the guys that pitted early, hoping to make it up on, say, the last 10 laps of this stage. Marty.
Yes, Steve, Jonathan Hassler told me this morning he would play it fairly down the middle, and he does it exactly down the middle here in stage 1 in terms of early strategy. You're at the radio transmission. Blaney saying when he was in traffic, the car was a little bit too tight, but the encouraging thing for the 12 team, he got clean air. He said actually became fairly neutral, and he got more happy with it the longer he ran. We'll see where this longer strategy got Jonathan Hassler cycles out Ryan Blaney.
We're going to find out where it cycles out at the end of the stage, but let's see what it cost him in the near term. So Blaney was up to the 20th position pre-pit stop. As he accelerates here around this slippery apron, Jeff, you and I gave it a feel in the pace car earlier. Who do we got right there? It looks like the 47 of Stenhouse. Yeah, the 47 of Stenhouse just to his outside. So Stenhouse running in 23rd. It's only going to cost him 2 or 3 spots on the racetrack. Now, Blaney, with 4 or 5 lap fresher tires, should start to go on the offense. It might take a lap to get up to temperature, and then he should be good to go forward.
See how far he can climb with 38 laps to go in this opening stage.
It's all right there. He got down on the apron of the racetrack. Some of that's just low air pressure. The car kind of squirms around a little bit. It doesn't steer exactly straight. So when he turned, the car probably turned better than he thought it was going to. Got the left sides on that apron.
If you weren't with us yesterday, Blaney suffered a practice crash.
Watch this.
Have a look at this moment again on the inside of Stenhouse.
You see right there. He's got the car just off of the racetrack. You see the car start bouncing around. And now the tires are starting to come in, Steve. We saw this with the 12 car. Actually, all of the Penske's, we saw this in practice. They could not take off with great pace. But the 5th, 7th, 8th lap of a run is when they started to show real speed.
So the 20 of Christopher Bell into turn 3 right now. Blaney off turn 4. So he's not in danger of going a lap down at the moment. And with better tires, I would assume going to outrun the 20 in overall pace. Right now, he wants to use what's in front of him. Look at all that clear racetrack, Jeff. As a crew chief, this is where I need you. Passing's hard enough, but when we have air on the nose of our car, I need to make lap time to make sure we finish this on the lead lap.
And look, you're always trying as hard as you can as a driver to go as fast as you can. But, Steve, I like to know the strategy also. Hey, we pitted a little bit later, and here's why we did it. So here's what I need from you. To make this work, I need you to execute on this.
22nd position at the moment. and trying to surge forward. Practice crash yesterday. In the round of 8, the reigning series champion after 7 DNFs this season. It's a remarkable story in and of itself that the champ is still here. But that speaks to the determination and the drive of the 12 team. Advantage for this guy remains the same. About 2.5 seconds. It's been a great day so far for Christopher Bell.
Post green flag pit stops are full field running order. Will Reddick is in second. Alex Bowman still third. Kyle Larson jumps up a spot to fourth. Joey Logano in fifth. Chase Elliott up to sixth. Brad Keselowski seventh. Austin Cindric eighth. Ross Chastain ninth. And William Byron in 10th. Martin Truex Jr. 11th. Denny Hamlin faded to 12th. Must have had a slow stop. Ty Gibbs in 13th, Chris Buescher 14th, Daniel Suarez 15th, Kyle Busch 16th, Justin Haley 17th, Michael McDowell 18th, Noah Gragson 19th, and Bubba Wallace 20th. Carson Hocevar 21st, Ryan Blaney 22nd, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 23rd, Zane Smith 24th, Austin Dillon 25th, Eric Jones 26th, Todd Gilliland 27th, Daniel Hemrick 28th, Harrison Burton 29th, Josh Berry in 30th. 31st for Ryan Preece, John Hunter Nemechek 32nd, Jimmy Johnson 33rd, Corey LaJoie 34th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 35th, Cody Ware 36th, and Chase Briscoe is back in 37th. Not sure what happened to him. Still green flag. We have not yet seen a yellow. Stage 1 again will end at lap 80. We'll take our first break. You're listening live on KRC to the South Point 400 for the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. I'll refresh NASCAR.com. Try logging out of it, logging back in again to see if I've got the raw feed back up on my end. It does seem to be more towards the midpoint of the race when it's down at the beginning. Appears to still be stuck on the parade lap at the moment. Another full screen commercial break going on right now on NBC.
A reminder that Xfinity delivers the fastest connection to every NASCAR race, and you can enjoy ultra-low lag streaming and wall-to-wall Wi-Fi coverage from green flag to checkered. The best seat in the house, Xfinity. Bring on the good stuff. Lots of good stuff here in Vegas, that's for sure. Lots of fun to be had. It's not so much fun right now for the Yahoo number 11 of Denny Hamlin. He's down 9 positions from his starting spot, and a lot of that goes down to his first pit stop. Let's review it, fellas.
Yeah, so Denny comes in the pit box a little conservative. He's at least 3 or 4 feet short of his mark. These pit boxes are known to be slippery, Jeff. I'm sure he's protecting against that. Slow right front hang, and then the problem is now we go to the left rear, and we have trouble in the left rear as well. 14 seconds costs the 11th car, 4 or 5 seconds, basically 8 spots on the racetrack. There you go. There's the split difference. A little slower out of the driver, quite a bit slower in the pit stop. Overall, multiple seconds lost to race leader Christopher Bell.
So, Denny's on the drive to try and make that up on track. That one hurts as we welcome in our Hall of Famer, DJ Dale Jarrett, Brad Doherty from JTG Doherty Racing. Fellas, what have you observed so far? What's caught your eye?
I'm starting to think that this 11 team just hates stage points. Every way possible to, in these first 2 stages of the last, I'd say 7, 8 races at least, to find a way to find themselves outside of that top 10, Brad, not getting anything out of this.
Yeah, the mistakes that we saw them earlier this year makes mistake on a mile-and-a-half racetrack similar that they lost the opportunity to gather these valuable points. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. The other thing I got, DJ, though, is I'm watching Blaney and I'm watching Christopher Bell. I mean, he is a straightaway behind him. All this room on this racetrack, this clean air. I mean, what's the chances he runs him down and puts him a lap down?
Well, he had a little help from some lap cars, or cars between himself and Christopher Bell there, and Bell got hung up just a little bit, so he actually gained a little bit more there. But Bell is so fast when they get out in clean air. But for the last 10 laps of the run, Blaney should have the pressure tires that Steve was explaining there a while ago.
Good stuff. Thanks, guys. So Bell's lead still hovers around that 2.2, 2.3, 2.4 second mark over Tyler Reddick. That's been unchanged pretty much all race long. Where is Blaney? He's got back to 20th. So a couple of positions further gained. This drive from the back of the field through after the practice crash yesterday.
And I really believe with 24 laps to go, these fresher tires, remember, Jonathan Hassler ran all the way to lap 40. The majority of the field did it between 30, 30, and 36. So call it 7 to 4 laps fresher, depending on his opponent. I think you're going to really see the dividends in the last 15 laps of this stage. So as Blaney stays patient right here, catches his buddy Bubba Wallace, who didn't put up much of a fight earlier. I don't expect him to put up much of a fight here.
Well, Blaney's pace, he's running 30-70s. Bell's running 30-70s. Bell's fastest on racetrack. Blaney's second fastest on racetrack.
Yeah.
So to your point, Steve, obviously the 12 car is fast, but also he has a little fresher tire.
That's what to do. Starting last and staying on the lead lap in first stage, Marty, very difficult.
Yeah, but they're doing it so far, Steve. And Esther said this morning, hey, listen, stage one, I know we're not going to get stage points in that stage, but if we can get stage points in stage two and finish top 10 today, I'll call this a good day. Glenn said something interesting at the beginning of this run. He said, if I push any harder, it makes me lose. And then Esther said, hey, then don't push. The long run is our strength, and they're certainly showing that's me. Meanwhile, William Byron sitting in 11th right now came on the radio a moment ago and had this to say to Rudy Fugel. So I think the big point here for William Byron, Lee right now, he is outside the top 10, so he would not get stage points, and that's coming up 21 laps to go here in stage one.
And from where Williams running around about there in comparison to Blaney, trying to pick his way forward, there's about 10 seconds. So Blaney is about 10 seconds away from at least a stage point.
The one bit of good news for William Byron and his crew chief Rudy Fugel is he said, I have no front tires, meaning he turns down into the corner and the front doesn't want to track like he wants. This is a racetrack that normally builds freer. So as you run, the balance goes the other direction. The rear tires start to lose grip. The front turn into being more positive. As you see the 24 attacking the 19, the balance swing, Jeff, might be coming Byron's direction.
Drivers exaggerate just a touch. He had
A second. It's not that cut.
Oh, this is good. This is a good hard fight for stage points. 20 to go in the opening stage, and William Byron digging deep. Rudy Fugel said earlier this week, we have such a great team, such a great group of people. The decision-making and the execution, we're in this to win, and it all begins today in this round of 8. And it begins very much with getting those all-important stage points.
And also, if you look at the top 10, we have 5 drivers that are not in the playoffs in the top 10, and they are going to take stage points. Bowman having a good day after that. Exceptionally disappointing week last week. Bowman did a great job in the playoffs and just got knocked out, not of his doing. But bringing the intensity to this race, and that's hard to do, Steve, to be that disappointed and still come and compete against these guys in the playoffs.
Well, the flip side, we think about Chase Briscoe in that 14 car, made that great move at Darlington to win and get into the playoffs. Well, now they're eliminated, and just even here in Las Vegas, removing equipment on the green flag cycle, and now he's 2 laps down to the field.
Oh, trouble.
Far around into the wall.
Big crash.
Caution.
Austin Dillon.
Austin Dillon.
It was getting into turn 3. It was, I don't know what started it, but there was contact with another car, and it shot him. Just hung a right.
So you hear him on the radio. The
Big,
window down. He says,
big
I'm all right on the radio, but
It was, see, we talk about it all the time. That was back there in 27th, and it's fierce racing back there.
17 to go in the stage. To your point, Jeff, you pass a guy you think he's going to check up and let you into the corner or anything like that. You see contact, but maybe we take for granted just how fast this track is. Look at the damage on the right front of that car. Completely shortened up. Great sign right. Oh, a point. Oh, that looks like he knows something happened. I think Austin Dillon has an opinion on
who did it?
somebody.
That was big, and here it is. It's the shots in the distance a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's Daniel Hemrick.
Oh boy, that was a hard hit.
Yeah, that's Daniel Hemrick. They were all racing to try to be the first car one lap down, and it was really intense back there. And I'm not sure, Daniel and Austin are buddies. They get along well off the racetrack. I'm sure that wasn't intentional or something more of that story.
Sometimes it's like the hockey fight, Diff.
Yeah,
You kind of got to go back and look at all 64 laps to see if there's something else. Maybe it's just a mistake, Jeff, or maybe it's frustration that builds. It's hard to tell from that angle, but great to see Austin Dillon. It was a big week for Austin Dillon. He owns one of those PBR teams. They were actually out here in Las Vegas as well. I ran into him in one of the hotels, and that's all he wanted to talk about. He was excited. He was looking forward to this race, looking forward to the entire weekend. He's going to be very frustrated to know he's the first out.
Carolina Cowboys.
Carolina Cowboys.
Think about their year. Won Richmond, in that very controversial finish. It was taken away from him in regard to being able to use it to move himself into the playoffs, and had the dominating car and didn't get it done. And that was a major blow to Richard Childress Racing and Austin Dillon.
All right, there's two sides to every story. Let's go inside the South Point Chevy to hear Hemrick Radio.
One to one. The quarter. 20.
Yeah, definitely. Later, definitely was back and forth and measure through.
I was watching him watch me. I don't know. I guess they were racing, and he felt like he went in and blocked. It's hard to say from that, but obviously there's going to be some more conversations. I don't believe this is going to be the last of this.
We're here to see it. Entering turn 3. It's just very odd. It's that time of year, though, Diff. I got to tell you, this is the time of year we see these odd things happen. Think about fights on pit road. People get toward the end of the year, and the disappointments of the year are all there. They're all trying to make something happen. None of them are having a great day. They're running 26th, 27th, 28th. Frustrations go high.
All right, we're early on. Stage 1 in Las Vegas. Where are you putting your chips? Are you putting your chips on pit road? I mean, strategy would say come to pit road, get some fresher tires, and run these last, say, 12 to 13 laps. But it's not the same answer for everyone. The leaders have about 30 laps on their tires. New tires are going to be better. For Blaney, who pitted a little bit later, running 19th, is this a gamble he takes to get track position? So as pit road continues to be closed while they clean up the 3, we're going to have to just wait and see the decisions made by these teams.
You want the stage points or the track position? We'll see.
Yeah, come on both.
First caution of the day here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Under the yellow, Christopher Bell leads this race. Tyler Reddick in second, Alex Bowman third, Kyle Larson fourth, and Chase Elliott got up to fifth. Joey Logano in sixth, Austin Cindric seventh, Ross Chastain eighth, Martin Truex Jr. ninth, and Brad Keselowski in 10th place. That is our top 10. Under the caution, with about 15 laps to go in stage 1, cleanup underway through turns 3 and 4 where the incident took place. Hard hit head-on into the outside wall for Austin Dillon into the number 3. And that looked to be off the front bumper of Daniel Hemrick in the 31. Austin out of the car under his own power, but that was a massive, massive collision. And it did not look like that car slowed down one bit in its wayward up the racetrack. So the decision to pit or not to pit here is going to be an interesting one, Obviously, we're within that window where if you pit now, you could still make it on one stop in stage 2. Pitting around the halfway mark of the stage pretty easily. Again, these guys can go about 60 laps in a full tank. Maybe a few laps more than that even. With cautions included, obviously we know we're guaranteed another yellow coming up soon at lap 80 for the end of stage 1. But for these 8 drivers in the playoffs, we know how important these stage points are. You would have to think most of them are going to stay out, although with enough laps on these tires, you could argue if you're up at the front of the field, if you're a Bell, that you could actually get back up there if not that many cars stay out of the pits. I would imagine most of the field is probably going to come down, and we'll see a handful of them stay out. But the cars at the very front of the field, I think they're going to pit here. I think you have to trust your car. Because you'd have to imagine most of the non-playoff drivers are definitely going to pit. Yep, leaders are in.
Carver and six. The round is close. Christopher Bell said a little free, but told him I don't need anything for the short run to the end of the stage, Marty.
Reddick said the car's not bad. He said, but go back to how it was at the beginning of the race. And Lee, look at that. A number of two-tire calls here. A lot of people getting track position with that strategy move.
Some big jumps with that two-tire call. First big caution of the day, Austin Dillon. This is the South Point 400.
Wow.
NBC.
I'll tell you what, underratedly, I feel Austin Dillon throughout his Cup Series career has had a ton of massive hits. And this is another one to add to that list. Obviously, everybody pretty much kind of circles back to his worst crash, 2015 Summer Daytona race, ended up in the catch fence. But I remember Michigan in 2021, even at the end of stage 2, when he got turned head on into the wall, almost ended up flipping on the front stretch. He hit the wall head on. Car was on his driver's side door, kind of sliding back down the racetrack until he got down towards the grass, and it was back on all four. Think of that hit. He had a big hit at Pocono. What was it? Last year, I think it was, on a restart. Got hung up on the front bumper of somebody else's race car. Took a head-on shot into the outside wall at Pocono. Definitely tough hit. Tough hit here. Good to see him come out of the car under his own power, though. Obviously, he'll be taking the mandatory trip to the Infield Care Center. When we get an interview from him, you'll get to listen into that. Waiting for our leaderboard to shake up. Quite a few two-tire pit stops. Truex, Byron, Keselowski, Buescher. They all took 2. I know Kyle Busch took 2. He's in the top 10 now. A couple other drivers back half of the top 10 also took right sides only. But everybody pretty much came onto pit road. Eric Jones on our leaderboard, he might have stayed out. And if he did, he'd be the only driver that didn't pit for any tires. And we're going to have right around 10 laps to go in stage 1 when we get back to racing. Felt that hit watching the in-car camera. Yeah, they showed the in-car cam on NBC right as they were cutting the commercial break. Thanks for tuning in, by the way, Billy. Dorian Thice, thanks for tuning in as well. I didn't shout you out earlier, but I saw you in the chat. Many others watching. Chat poll up to 117 votes already. And Kyle Larson still attops that voting poll, but not by a lot. 38% to 32% for either him to win or somebody other than Larson to win at that 32%. 16% taking Tyler Reddick, 13% for Christopher Bell. Raw feed on NASCAR.com still having issues with it. So Eric Jones must have waited a lap to top off on fuel. Take 4 tires. So Martin Truex Jr. will be the leader on the restart. So your race off of pit road, Martin Truex Jr. will be first on the restart. William Byron will restart in second. Then Brad Keselowski third. Chris Buescher in fourth. And Tyler Reddick rounds out our top 5. Frank Powers, Earl Arnold Jr. also welcome into the stream. Showing the aerial shot of the South Point Casino and Resort. A replay on Daniel Hemrick's front bumper. I don't know. I mean, it looked like he just drove right through him, honestly. I don't know if there's much justification there. You know, maybe Austin Dillon was blocking going into the corner. They really, I mean, it looked like they moved simultaneously to the bottom. And I don't know how much of it was Austin Dillon was going to the inside and Hemrick had the late decision, to go down or not to go down. Problems for Eric Jones, by the way. His tire came off under the yellow. So this is going to delay the caution a couple laps. Right front tire completely gone on the 43. And there will be some suspensions for that pit crew. So maybe that's why he was scored on our leaderboard in first. For whatever reason. New tire back on the race car. That'll probably lead to some damage, I would imagine, underneath the right front suspension of the car. Yeah, mid-caution. Right front tire just comes off. Rolling around the outside of the racetrack, coming down the banking. It looked like it came off in 1 and 2. It was probably right after he exited pit road. Didn't even make it a full lap. Half a lap. Field doubled up. We'll have 9 laps to go on the restart. Truex and Byron on the front row. Got to find Reddick and Hamlin in row 3. The next closest playoff drivers to that of Byron, though, they took 4 tires. Byron took 2. He was in 11th before the caution. Green flag back in the air, trying to capitalize and steal some major stage points. Down to the bottom of the track, Bell looked to go 3 wide underneath Reddick. Reddick blocked him down onto the apron. Larson splits Hamlin 3 wide middle above Joey Logano. And Hamlin has a little contact with Larson up off the exit of the corner, slowing both cars down 4 wide just in line behind him. Fast forward to the front of the field, Martin Truex Jr. nabs the race lead away. Byron is in second off of turn 4. Brad Keselowski third and Tyler Reddick fourth. 8 laps to go in the stage, still 3 and nearly 4 wide towards the back of the pack through the tri-oval down towards turn 1. Reddick on the 4 fresh Goodyears to everybody on 2 tires ahead of him. He's trying to take advantage. He got out ahead of Bell on the restart. So Reddick the first driver on 4 fresh Goodyears. Reddick to that middle to upper groove. In 3 and 4. Hamlin continues to lose time. And I believe he is outside the top 10 now. Yep, 11th, where the number 11 is at. Chase Elliott just behind him. Everybody vouching for all the positions they can. Alex Bowman lost a ton of time on pit road, was running top 3 for most of this race, and now he's outside the top 10 for the first time. Bowman currently backed up to 14th. Reddick that last lap got by Keselowski through 1 and 2 and got by Byron through 3 and 4, and now he's blowing past Martin Truex Jr. on the outside with 6 to go in stage 1 for the lead. Had a big run off turn 4, completes the pass in 1 and 2, and for the first time today, Tyler Reddick is out in front here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Christopher Bell's only gotten up to 4th since the restart. Hamlin passes Kyle Busch back for 11th. Got to get into the top 10 for stage points. Gibbs catching and passing Larson. Larson's going to drop back to 9th. Yeah, Larson and Hamlin definitely got held up on that restart. More so Hamlin, and then there was a little contact between the 2 cars as they were getting up to speed off turn 2. Here's Austin Dillon outside the infield care center with Marty Snyder.
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, he's flat out wrecked me. No clue why. He's got 3 races left, and I don't know if he was just over his head and he stays in the gas into 3 just until he hits me. So I don't know what that was.
Right. Austin Dillon is okay after this vicious accident, Lee.
It's good to hear that. We heard that straight away on the radio. When you see it again, do you make anything more of it, Jeff?
I just, like I said, envy or frustrations, I think.
Kyle Larson.
Coming up on 3 laps to go at stage 1 this time by for Tyler Reddick. He's got a 7/10 of a second advantage over Martin Truex Jr. Bell has since passed William Byron for 3rd. Bell within a second of the lead, should get by Truex for 2nd. It's going to be interesting if he's going to have enough time to get by Reddick. It's going to be tough for him to be able to do that. After dominating this first stage, just didn't quite get through the field in front of him as quickly as Tyler Reddick, and Reddick could capitalize and steal this stage win. after running in second for the entirety of the stage behind the 20. Bell pretty much got out to that 2 to 2.5 second lead and sat on it the entire way through the first stage up until that first caution with a little less than 20 laps to go. Truex a little loose in that middle to upper group through 1 and 2. And as he slipped up the racetrack on the older left side tires, here comes Christopher Bell, lap of stage 1. He's 1.4 seconds off the race lead. Byron should remain in fourth. Keselowski quite a ways behind him, and he's not close enough to catch Truex for third without a huge mistake out of the 19. Ryan Blaney from the back of the field ended up taking 4 tires on that last pit stop. He is up to 17th place. As far as the playoff drivers not to get stage points here, it looks like Elliott, Hamlin, and Blaney will be the 3 not to get stage points. Hamlin's close to Kyle Larson for 10th, but I don't think he's going to get him. And Tyler Reddick will win stage 1 here at Vegas. Christopher Bell, as I mentioned, in second. Then he got Mark Truex Jr. third, William Byron fourth, Brad Keselowski fifth, Ty Gibbs in sixth, Chris Buescher seventh, Joey Logano eighth, Austin Cindric ninth, and Kyle Larson rounding out the top 10. So 5 of the 8 playoff drivers receiving stage points in this stage. Elliott, Hamlin, Blaney did not. And we will roll into stage 2 here shortly. I'd imagine most of the field will stay out, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe drivers that took 2 tires may come down to change those left sides. Could be possible. We'll just have to wait and see when they come back from the commercial break. So with Tyler Reddick winning stage number 1, that'll be the 5th stage win of the season for him. I'll have to edit the stage win category, bottom of the screen. He was tied for 4th with Ryan Blaney, and now he's in 4th all alone with 5 stage wins on the season. There we go, it's edited. Not going to be able to edit the points as we go lap by lap over the course of the race, so the point standings at the bottom of the screen is what they were coming into the race today. And once again, coming into the day, it was Kyle Larson plus 33, Christopher Bell plus 13, plus 10 for Tyler Reddick, and plus 4 for William Byron. The 4 drivers below the cut line, Ryan Blaney minus 4, Denny Hamlin minus 8, Chase Elliott minus 9, and Joey Logano minus 11. So all 4 drivers that came into the day above the cutoff line all got stage points in stage 1. 3 of the 4 below the cut line, Blaney, Hamlin, Elliott, did not get stage points, so that points gap going to be a little bit bigger for them as we begin stage 2 here at Vegas. Long way to go in this one, though. Just over 80 laps complete. Stage 2 will be 85 laps in length again, so very similar to stage 1, and slightly longer in stage 3 of 102 laps. Take a look at that chat poll yet again. 122 votes now casted, 40% taking Larson, who finishes 10th at the end of stage 1. Other at 31%. That would be other than Bell, Reddick, or Larson. Reddick, 16% of the votes win stage 1. Bell, who was second at the end of stage 1, only 13%. Surprised that those 2 votes are not as high. Bell has led the most laps today. Reddick wins stage 1. Reddick's led the last 8. 64 laps led for pole sitter Bell. Truex was able to lead 7 laps after winning the race off of pit road and led the first couple green flag laps here. Ryan Blaney led for 4 laps in stage 1 during green flag pit stops, as those are the 4 different drivers to lead at least 1 lap in the race today. Only driver out of the race, Austin Dillon, after his crash, a vicious hit into the outside wall in turns 3 and 4, with a little less than 20 laps to go in stage 1, are only yellow for incident thus far. Obviously, the stage end at lap 80, our second caution of the day.
American Express card. Toyota, let's go places. And by Progressive. Save when you bundle motorcycle, RV, and boat insurance. Visit progressive.com. This great shop high above the South Point. In our aerial coverage, we want to say thanks to Traveller Whiskey, bringing those beautiful shots all day long here in the South Point 400. All right, pit road is about to get ultra busy. And Reddick is at the head of it. Dylan Welsh just standing by.
And very first pit stall there, the yellow car, Joey Logano. We believe they're just going to go right sides here. Took 4 tires on the last stop.
As Christopher Bell makes his stop, he said on the long run, it gets a little bit Hurry mainly on the center of the corner. Tight end, though. You see him top, and the 20 car asks for no major adjustments, Marty.
For William Byron, the two-tire call last time, he said made the car a little bit too tight, so they can make a decent adjustment here for 4 fresh tires. For Tyler Reddick, before that went green, Billy Scott said, we have new tires on, use them up. They won it. They won the stage. He said the car was a little bit tight, but manageable. And again, Lee, look at all those two-tire calls, gaining track position here to start stage 2.
Strategy calls. Good strategy calls. Paramount. Stage 1 done. We're gearing up for stage 2. Back in a moment.
We'll get to the restart here shortly to begin stage 2. Raw feed's still down on NASCAR.com at the moment. I would imagine sometime during the course of stage 2 that will become available for us. Usually seems to be about the midpoint of the race, and we are getting fairly close to halfway already. Another 40 to 50 laps from the halfway mark. Waiting to exactly see this leaderboard shake out before we get to this next restart to give you the update on who we're going to have at the very front of the field. I don't think our screen is completely accurate yet. Considering it has Corey LaJoie scored in third, I don't think that that's completely accurate. So I'll give it an extra moment. Yeah, Christopher Bell had a 9.2 second stop on the last one. I didn't see what the 45 of Reddick had, though. When I was typing, I went to glance up to see Reddick's time, and I didn't catch it. The raw feed, it shows the last pit stop time, but on foxsports.com, obviously, we don't have that. Otherwise, I could just go back and look at it there, but try to keep you updated as much as you can. Feel free to ask away in the chat. I'll give you any information I can. It's part of these live commentary streams. We'll take our second break of the race, and when we come back, we'll end up having, obviously, our Stage 2 beginning. Sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as you're listening live to the South Point 400 at Las Vegas on KRC. Looks like the top 10 for this upcoming restart will be Denny Hamlin in the race lead. Ty Gibbs is going to be second. Chase Elliott third. Alex Bowman fourth. And Joey Logano in fifth. Sixth for Christopher Bell. Martin Truex Jr. in seventh. Tyler Reddick eighth. Brad Keselowski ninth. And Chris Buescher rounds out the top 10.
You can download the official app of NASCAR and follow the action with free live scoring, in-car cameras, and radio broadcast. Upgrade to a premium for full access to driver audio channels and a completely ad-free experience. Simply search NASCAR in your app store and download now to start a free trial. What a beautiful day here in Nevada for these NASCAR race fans. It is just beautiful. Now we ride on board Denny Hamlin's Toyota, and speaking of that manufacturer, Toyota is proud to recognize one of their own, President David Wilson, as he embarks upon retirement. This weekend, David celebrates 35 years with TRD, Toyota Racing Development, and leaves behind a legacy both on and off the track.
David's been incredible to work with. What a true professional and true racer.
Drivers, start your engine!
His approach, his professionalism, his commitment. I think he's just been a great ally. David's been such a crucial part of the inception of 2311 and my dream to start my team. It's just incredible what he's doing for all the young drivers out there, given opportunities that no other manufacturer did. And to have someone that cares so much about the sport, about how the vehicles perform every single weekend, he has had a huge impact on the racing world. David Wilson is an amazing human being, and I'm very thankful to be able to say that I've known him and grown the ladder with him.
And people like David Wilson are the difference makers. Manufacturers will always be involved in racing, but it's people like David who make the difference. And we wish him well and say thanks so much. There are problems at the 5 camp. Kim Kuhn, what's the latest?
Yeah, a little hiccup. Take a listen to the radio of the 5 team.
Gotta make me feel a little working up. I thought you were doing. You're gonna go and say, we're gonna get the orbit out of our nose. We're gonna.
So you heard that right there. A piece of aluminum in the nose. A little hiccup for this team. With Daniel cheerleading his driver, Kyle Larson, saying, we still can make a great race out of it. And it just goes to show you anything can happen. This team has had bad races for the initial race of each round. They're hoping to be able to rebound here this afternoon.
And there it is, Cliff Daniels just having a look at that debris. Earlier this year in the spring race, his teammate, William Byron, had a plastic bag across the grill. Temperatures spiked up to 350, and that cost him. So just a little hiccup, extra little challenge for Kyle Larson.
Well, many other penalties on pit road as well. The 34, the 16, the 23, the 99, all with penalties on pit road.
We saw an Xfinity team yesterday from Junior Motorsports choose not to repair their car, and that really put them behind. That's Cliff Daniels. You talk about leadership comes into play, especially in the postseason. 79 to go. You don't want to give up track position, Jeff, but that's a crew chief that says, I know we're going to be good. Let's just get our car cleaned up, ready to go.
And 79 to go in stage 2 as well, not the final stage of the race. So Denny Hamlin, the leader on the restart, elected to stay out of the pits. Everybody else on fresh tires behind him. Hamlin with the lead for the first time today. Green flag back in the air. Great restart for him, but he didn't get a good push from behind as Bowman did not fire off well. And Logano is going to split 3 wide underneath Bowman and Reddick. 4 wide now, middle of the corner. Reddick, Bell almost get into one another. Reddick sideways in the center of the corner. Barely kept it off the outside of the 20. Reddick lifts. Gives up a bunch of track position. Byron able to pick Bell up in the bump draft down the back straightaway, so Bell actually didn't lose too much momentum out of that. But Reddick did. Bell races by the 45, the 6. Cuts all the way in line behind Truex to get by Hamlin, who restarted in the lead. Hamlin now going backwards as Ty Gibbs leads for the first time in the race. And Joey Logano up to a race-high second place position behind him. 3 wide dive bomb down the back straight for Christopher Bell to try to go for third under Truex, and Elliott gets it. Slide job and a clearance for Bell on corner exit. Contact! Trouble! Elliott's around into Reddick off turn 4. Down into the grass goes Keselowski, and upside down goes Tyler Reddick as he barrel rolls back up onto the asphalt apron. Caution flag is out, and Reddick's day is done as he takes a tumble in the infield on the front stretch here at Vegas. 3 wide and tight off of turn 4. Elliott and Reddick made contact. I believe Reddick got squeezed up against the wall as Elliott pushed wide. Spun the 45 car down the racetrack. Elliott goes with him. And it looked like the right side of his car dug into the grass, similar to Buescher in the 600 a couple of years ago, and toppled that car over. One time before landing back down on all 4 again. He was sliding across the grass, and then when it caught the pavement of the quarter-mile short track in the infield, that is where the car took flight. 1 barrel roll, then back up and over. Or the car slid back up on the track. Luckily, it didn't slide all the way back up in front of traffic. Not something you see at Las Vegas on a regular basis, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, contact. It just looks like to me, Truex is up the racetrack. Then the 45 goes over that.
Yeah, the quarter-mile track.
Yeah, the quarter-mile track. And when he hits that, it just rolls it.
And then he drove it back to the pit stall. The left front upright, I believe, is broken on the 45, so he's done, which you would imagine after a wreck like this.
You see Brad Keselowski in it.
Chase Elliott's view.
You hear him out of the gas, right? So either contact, aero, tight combination. Chase Elliott knows he's in trouble. But at 170 miles an hour, you know, you're going to cover a tremendous amount of distance. And you see him up the racetrack, 45 trying to go by. You ask why the 45's there, because if you don't fill those holes, you will never move forward in these races. And it just runs out of real estate, exit of turn 4.
Something crazy going on behind this is the 12 car. I looked up and he was spinning out off of turn 4 after the caution. And they,
Wow. What's happening?
I don't know.
Marty, you got more on this?
Digging into what's going on with the 12, but it looks like they're replacing the right rear toe link is what they're doing, and that is confirmed. That's what they're doing here on the 12. We'll find out a little bit more about that. And yes, Steve, Tyler Reddick is done. This team rallied at the Roval to be able to make the round of 8, did everything right in stage 1, won that stage, but it goes quickly awry here in stage 2. We'll talk to Tyler Reddick here in just a moment. For the record, he said on the radio, I thought the hole was there. It wasn't. It closed so quickly.
Well, and it's easy for him to say now it wasn't, but I like the move that Reddick was going for. I think you have to fill those holes. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. For the 12, it's hard to see, but right behind the right front tire, it looks like there's a little scuff on the number 2. I don't know if that's a wall or another driver. Also above the right rear, right where the helmet are of the workers, I see a little scuff. So I don't know if he touched the wall or another car, and that's what broke the toe link, I assume, Marty?
Yeah, Steve, it was the wall. He made contact with the wall, I'm assuming just to avoid all of what was going on in front of him. But that was contact with the wall for Ryan Blaney. That's what broke the right rear toe link.
Yeah, so he was behind that wreck, and these are split second. We're going to make it look real easy because it'll be in slow motion in a replay, but I'm sure it happens a little bit quicker. But here you go, Jeff. Take me on board, see what happens.
Watch 6-star.
I just clipped it.
Takes evasive action.
Yep. So now let's review the rules. It's damaged vehicle policy. This has been a lot of conversation about getting back to your pit road. Blamey drove it back under his own power, but he's still on the clock. He has 7 minutes to do the repairs. That's total time on pit road. There's approved parts that you're allowed to change. This toe link issue for the 12 is an approved repair. It's much what Reddick repaired a week ago at the Roval and continue to bounce back. So if you're a Blaney fan, you're still okay. Reddick survived last week. Blaney still has a chance. How about the 9, Kim, of Chase Elliott?
Yeah, Chase Elliott on pit road a second time. He felt like something was broke, really bowed out, said he got hit at the hardest, the right front. They checked the first time he was down pit road. They didn't see anything, so brought him back down. They told Chase, we don't see anything on the right front that looks bent. So right now, checking again, because Chase said it just does not feel right.
Costly crash for 3 playoff drivers. Reddick the worst. Blaney and Elliott.
And that's the thing about these playoffs. We can talk about who the fastest are. We can talk about who has the best races, but we have zero idea what's going to happen in regard to this type of stuff. It's so competitive. You have to be pushing. You have to be trying to get all you can. And when you're pushing that hard, you're going to step over the bounds every now and then.
The champ is back out on track. Blaney back out. Here goes Elliott. And think about Tyler Reddick. The standout 2 drivers today have been Bell and Reddick. And he knew that Bell was going for it. Bell was on a charge. And Reddick saw that opportunity. As Marty mentioned, he said on the radio, I saw that gap. I thought I could go for it. And it was just 3 into a tight spot at big speed.
Surprised pit road was open. I thought 73 laps would be the gamble. I think people were going to try to make it on fuel. The leaders decided to stay out, though. We'll have to just see how this stage progresses.
Let's talk more Ryan Blaney. He's coming back in, Marty.
Yeah, they have the right rear fixed, and then Jonathan Hassler told Ryan Blaney on the radio it should be locked down in the rear. He said, nope, the rear's moving everywhere. So this time they're going to look at the left rear of this 12 car. He also said the steering wheel very much pointed to the left, Jeff. So they not only have fixed the right rear toe link, now they got to work on the left rear toe link, but they also clearly have a steering issue behind the wheel of the 12.
Well, you hope that it is a toe link, because if it's a lower control arm, up control arm, or upright, those are not changeable or repairable.
2 laps down, Blaney.
Ryan Blaney having a day like Tyler Reddick had last weekend. There's Reddick up on the wall. Multi-car accident, 3 playoff drivers involved here in Vegas.
So Reddick, we know, is done for the day. Not entirely sure on Elliott's condition, on whether he will be able to continue or not. He's been on pit road multiple times. Same for Ryan Blaney, who was also caught up further behind in the incident. 4-car crash involving 3 playoff drivers: Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney. The Brad Keselowski also involved. Keselowski is done for the day, as his car is now back in the garage area along with Reddick's. Blaney scored 2 laps down as of right now, And I believe the 9 of Elliott is still on the lead lap, as he has been continuously coming down. Obviously, Blaney and Elliott are under the 7-minute damaged vehicle policy clock. They have to reach minimum speed, and if they're able to do that, they can continue to make repairs to their race car to try to keep them in it. Reddick had a great start to the day, winning stage 1, but he's only going to get 1 point. I believe 2 points. 2 points for his race finishing results, for finishing in 35th. Obviously 10 points in the stage, so it'll be an 11-point day for Reddick. He came in 10 points above the cut line in 3rd. First playoff driver out of the race. Under caution. Our raw feed is back up and running, as this is a yellow flag early in stage 2, following the restart to begin this second stage. This is our 3rd caution of the day, our 2nd for incident. Reddick went for a barrel roll in the infield, 1 time up and over in the midst of that crash after sliding across the quarter-mile asphalt track in the infield after initially sliding through the grass. Once he caught the pavement, the car tumbled once. Sure, we'll get an interview from him outside the infield care center when he is cleared to exit. Maybe the same for Keselowski, who was also involved in the wreck, and again, still awaiting Blaney and Elliott's condition following the incident as well. I wonder if Austin Cindric got caught up in it also. He wasn't talked about, but he's currently 3 laps down, along with Blaney, so I'm not sure. Maybe Cindric was also caught up in the back end of that. It's only listing the 45, 9, 6, and 12 as involved in the crash.
You can stay where the races stay. That's the South Point Hotel Casino and Spa. The ultimate pit stop on the Las Vegas Strip. South Point, everything you want, all under the one roof. So that pretty wild crash that's put us under this most recent caution happened right in front of Brad Doherty and Dale Jarrett. Guys, what did you see? What did you make of it?
You know, I was just making a comment, DJ, about the first stage was so clean and there was so much room on the racetrack for everyone to race. I just don't see how this happens, DJ. I mean, these guys are going there just trying to make lap time. And how does this happen with so much room on the racetrack?
Well, that's because you're running 180 miles an hour and everybody's trying to get as much as they can on these restarts. They know that's their opportunity. Scary right here. You know, there's no reason we shouldn't have grass at these places. Everybody's talked about it. The drivers have talked about it. But thankfully, he's okay. But we're going to see more of that as we get ready for another restart.
And again, if you're just joining us, Tyler Reddick, that car that flipped, that rolled, Reddick is okay. He's out of the car. Got it back to the pits, but he is out of this race. He had to fight so hard to make the round of 8, and he led 10 laps of this race here in Las Vegas, but unfortunately is out.
Kyle Busch spinning the tires on the restart. A big gap between him and Chastain in that 5th and 6th row on the outside. 2x2 at the very front of the field here with Joey Logano and Ty Gibbs on the front row. Gibbs was the leader at the time of the caution. Logano trying to take his first lead of the day is still side by side as they exit turn 2 down the back straightaway. Justin Haley up in the top 10, 3 wide middle between Chastain and Byron. Chastain with a dive bomb move, clears both cars and gets by Denny Hamlin in the 11 through the center of the corner as well. Hamlin slides up, Byron going to get by him on the bottom, and Hamlin split 3 wide on the front stretch again. Bell up to second, getting by Logano, who couldn't hold the momentum off turn 4 to stay alongside Ty Gibbs yet again. Gibbs is out clear for the lead just as he was on the last restart, but now his teammate Bell is up to second. Logano falls to third. Alex Bowman in fourth, right in front of the 19 and the 1 who are still side by side. Now they both go underneath the 48. 3 wide for fourth going into the corner. Not a great corner at all there for Bowman, as even though the 19 and the 1 were door to door, side by side, they both clear Alex. Truex blocks the 48 down to the bottom. Looking to clear wide on the 1 in the center of turns 1 and 2. Up the track goes the 19. Holds clear for fourth. 3 Toyotas up in the top 4 positions now, all for JGR. The lone Ford in the top 5 is Logano in third, and the only top 5 Chevrolet is Chastain in 5th. 6th through 10th of the manufacturer, you got 2 Hendrick Chevy, 6th, 7th. RFK Ford in 8th. and 2 Spire Chevys 9th and 10th. Chase Elliott off the pace, trying to meet minimum speed to clear the DVP clock before coming down to make more repairs. Same for Ryan Blaney in the 12. But they are well off of the lead pack following the restart. Nobody around them at the moment, as they currently are sitting 14 seconds off of where the lead pack is. Larson battles in traffic after having to pit for extra damage repair. Had a piece of aluminum in the left front fender of his car, riding around under caution during the stage 1 break. Patch that up, a very small patch. I don't think it's going to affect the handling of the car. But better safe than sorry that they wanted to put the bear bond. And gained a lot of positions on that last restart, missing the crash in the middle of the pack. And also gains a lot of positions on this restart as well, as Larson's already rallied up to 14th. Hamlin continues to lose spots. Remember, he stayed out of the pits entirely during the stage caution, so he's the only one riding around on his same old tires from stage 1. That's why he's losing a bunch of spots. Here's Reddick outside the infield care center.
The hole was there. What was your take on what you saw in front of you?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to be aggressive on restarts. It's how this next gen racing has been since the beginning. So, yeah, I kind of saw them both have a moment, and I just had a split second make decision right. And you got to be aggressive. You got to try and get the spots back on a restart. It can be hard to pass after a while. So, yeah, just being myself on a 1.5 miles, being aggressive, and I mean, by the time I realized I was in trouble, it's just too late. The 19 started sliding, the 9 was coming up, and I was pretty much already on their outside. There's just, at that point, nowhere to really go. I needed to make the decision earlier when I saw him slide and just be a little more conservative. That would have avoided the incident, but it's not who I am. It's not what we do, but it's unfortunate. It took us out of the race. Had a really, really fast Jordan Red and Cordy Camry, and thought we would have been in the mix all day long. So we'll learn from it. We'll go to Homestead, place where I've had to get it done before, and go for it there.
I was going to ask you how you feel about that with Miami and Martinsville left, with Miami being arguably your best track. How do you feel about being in this scenario going there, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, minus 17 isn't great. We can still have a good day at Homestead and be in the mix of Martinsville. So ideally, yeah, it would be nice to win today. Be nice to win next week. That's what we'll focus on. But thankfully, we got some stage points in stage 1, and it wasn't, we're not absolutely out of it on points yet. So we got a few ways, but we're going to have to be here perfect from here on out, I'd say.
You mentioned it, Lee. They won stage 1, but in stage 2, Tyler Reddick out.
I understand what he's saying about maybe he was too aggressive, but you're racing with Chase Elliott and Martin Truex Jr. You should be able to trust them. Those are 2 guys that you should be able to trust. There's nothing wrong with where Tyler Reddick was. I understand, and I love that he's taking responsibility and saying, I could have done something different. But Tyler Reddick wins races because of the driver he is and willing to go where he went. So I don't have a problem with anything Tyler Reddick did right there.
When leadership is tested, if you're MJ, team
Wrong place at the wrong time kind of thing more than anything, in my personal opinion. So top 4 still the same, really top 5 still the same following the incidents and the restarts. Chase Elliott back on pit road.
Talk anymore. Kim going to the garage to make repairs.
Going to the garage to make repairs. They met the DVP clock and minimum speed. They were trying to wait for a caution just to buy themselves a little bit more time, knowing that they would have to repair. Didn't do it. Chase said, I cannot run this thing longer than we already have. So to the garage for the 9-car, Dylan.
Kim, Denny Hamlin is hemorrhaging. It's restarted 6. Runs 22nd right now. They didn't get at the end of stage 1. This is Chris Gateport's instructions to his driver, giving the update with all the other brass cars.
Sure, 45 now. 12 cars left down that hurt me. And a 9-car lap, lead lap with some damage. Something to grab from bad changes before a rush. We will die. Car, big picture goes. Pushing it to the 11. Make sure we capitalize on it.
They took right side tires on lap 67, and Denny just came on the radio and said, my left rear is really, really going bad. Because that's the problem for the 11. They got to stabilize here.
I like the communication for Chris Gabehart. He probably wishes he could have pitted and put 4 tires, but he knew he was going to go to the back of the pack anyway. You can run 5 or 6 more laps, pit here under green, and probably be okay. For the 11, I like the change of approach. Quick update on the 9 of Chase Elliott. Kim Reporter went back to the garage. Most popular driver, update his fans. Remember, he can make repairs in return because he erased that damaged vehicle clock. But the problem is, the only positions he can pass is anybody else who may fall out of the race.
If I'm driving the 11 and Chris Gabehart gives me that message, you know what I just heard? This is really bad, but it could be worse.
Yeah.
Have a bad day.
Christopher Bell is closing the gap on Ty Gibbs for the race lead. Bell moves that middle to upper groove of the racetrack as Gibbs runs the bottom. Off the exit of turn 4, here comes that run now down the front straightaway. A little extra bit of a run off the banking for the 20, running that higher line. Down into turns 1 and 2, going to do the same thing. Not all the way up near the wall, but in the middle. Gibbs in the bumpier line down on the bottom, shortest way around the racetrack. Gibbs pulls high, trying to stay in front of Bell. Bell's run into turns 3 and 4, looking to the inside. And now's the time for Bell to try to make that move for the lead. A drive underneath, a pull up clear high. Gibbs gets a run off that higher lane as he went all the way to the wall on entry through 3 and 4. And we'll see if he tries to make the crossover move into 1 and 2. He does not. He stays back to the outside again. Bell goes right back to the middle groove where he was running to try to run down the 54. And for the second different time today, Christopher Bell is back out in front here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Denny Hamlin continues to lose positions on those older tires as he now falls all the way back to 25th. Maybe had a little contact with Corey LaJoie in the 51 corner exit from turn 4. Hamlin, kind of a tight exit as LaJoie was coming up from the bottom lane of the racetrack. Hamlin didn't go all the way to the wall. A racing deal there. They just met in the middle, and a couple more positions lost that next straightaway for Hamlin as he settles behind the SHR Fords of Barry and Briscoe. 6/10 of a lead for Christopher Bell. Make that 7/10 now. And as our leaderboard just updated again, now it's 1.1 seconds. So Bell extending it quickly after taking the lead away again. Ty Gibbs is in second. Joey Logano currently third. Martin Truex Jr. in fourth. Ross Chastain is fifth. Sixth for William Byron. Chris Buescher seventh. Kyle Larson in eighth. Kyle Busch ninth. And Alex Bowman is 10th. Justin Haley in 11th. Carson Hocevar 12th. Ryan Preece 13th. Bubba Wallace 14th. And Noah Gragson in 15th. 16th for John Hunter Nemechek. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 17th. Daniel Suarez 18th. Zane Smith 19th. And Daniel Hemrick in 20th. 21st, Harrison Burton. Michael McDowell 22nd. Corey LaJoie 23rd. Josh Berry 24th. Chase Briscoe 25th. Jimmy Johnson 26th. Denny Hamlin 27th. Cody Ware 28th. 29th for Shane Van Gisbergen. And Todd Gilliland in 30th. Eric Jones is a lap down in 31st. Ryan Blaney 2 laps down in 32nd. Chase Elliott is off track but still in the race at 11, now 12 laps down in 33rd. Austin Cindric is out of the race apparently as well in 34th. Tyler Reddick 35th. Brad Keselowski 36th. And Austin Dillon in 37th. Still didn't get an update on exactly what happened to Cindric. Whether he had to have been involved in that incident. Because he is behind Elliott and Blaney in the running order, but he's ahead of Reddick. But off the track, 20 laps down at the very least for Cindric. 3 cautions in the race today. 88, lap 80, lap 62. Bell has led for 71 laps and counting from the pole 3 different times. Excuse me, I said 2 earlier. He's led 3 different times. Ty Gibbs has led the second most laps, 23. Stage 1 winner. Tyler Reddick led 9 laps. Ryan Blaney led for 4 during green flag pit stops. Same for Denny Hamlin, who led for 4 after staying out of the pits during the stage caution. And speaking of Hamlin, he is down on pit road right now. Martin Truex Jr. also led for 7 laps. So we've had 6 different drivers lead, 8 lead changes. So Hamlin in the pits, our first green flag stop of stage 2. The window is open to easily make it upfield to the end of the stage. Tired of losing track position, so they'll be the first to pit to try to gain some of that back on these 4 fresh tires. And now their hope is to stay on the lead lap here to the end of the stage. Bell's extended his lead to 3 seconds during the commercial break.
You're watching the South Point 400 here on NBC, and that is Denny Hamlin leaving pit road here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And Dylan Welsh, that was a tough stint as he was just dropping positions with every lap. Yeah, couldn't hang on much longer, so they brought Denny in 4 tires. As you'd expect, they made a chassis adjustment as well. So they are a lap down. Second car a lap down, it looks like right now. But
You're watching the South Point 400 here.
Okay. Booted me back like a minute in the broadcast.
He is 1 lap down, nearly 2. So there's Denny. There's the leader. Bell running some really great laps, fastest car on the track. Now, you would imagine fresh tires is going to help the 11, and we are only maybe 5, 7, 8 laps away from another wave of green flag pit stops. Is Alex Bowman, Marty, coming your way?
Yeah, you guys mentioned it's been a very solid day for Alex Bowman, who really has not been outside the top 10 all day long. Car just a little bit too free on corner exit for Bowman, hoping to show up here after they got eliminated from the playoffs last week. Who knows? They might be able to win the race here in Vegas today.
What a day it's been for this man here, Christopher Bell. 73 laps led. He's come close to winning here before. Alex Bowman's pit stop is going to get the attention of some more front runners. Nobody was too concerned about Hamlin, who pitted from the back, but the front runners, Dylan, are now in.
That's right, Joey Logano on the screen. First pit stall off of turn number 4. Just his balance was freeing up. They'll change 4 tires. That's an no fuel. Trent Hickory as well has been balanced of handling gremlins all day, but they've stabilized inside the top 10, so still a decent day going for the 19.
So Bowman was the trigger for these two to come in, and we'll watch Bell. When does he decide? Here comes Ross Chastain, Ty Gibbs, William Byron. Here they come, Dylan.
And Ross Chastain will be the first one to hit his marks for Trackhouse Racing. They worked on his race car all day long with every stop as well. He said we are about halfway better on the adjustments they made from the last stop. They'll change 4 tires, fuel as well, Marty.
Unlike his teammate Denny Hamlin, William Byron was able to make the 2 tires work. He said it's just way too free for the 54. Meanwhile, William Byron did tell Rudy Fugle he much better, but it was too free. Just a little bit more at the end on pace.
And with these playoff drivers that are active, that are on the lead lap, and that are leading like Christopher Bell, time to maximize with the likes of Reddick out. Elliott off track in the garage area. Here comes Christopher Bell. I love that onboard. Just shows how busy they are to get onto pit row. And then little seat Bell just takes his left hand, sets it on the bottom of the wheel. Nice and relaxed for Christopher Bell. Penalty for the 1 and the 54. Ty Gibbs and Ross Chastain both get a speeding ticket. They'll have to do a pass through.
That's tough for Gibbs. He was in second.
Kim?
And Christopher Bell reporting tick free mid-corner. He said it's loose on both, and it's not just through the bumps. You see the chassis adjustment as Stevens and Pritchard asked if he was loose enough to be tightened up. He said yes. Ride quality too. He said, but just a little rough. But they take tires, that adjustment, and fuel.
Even multiple years in, the speed of these pit stops just amaze me how efficient and quick they are. No room for error at all. As we see the 5 of Kyle Larson now pit from the lead, Kim.
And that hiccup earlier, that aluminum in the grill seems very minor compared to some of the other playoff issues that we've seen since then. Right now, Kyle's car, not too bad. He said, I'm a little bit on the tighter side of neutral, but I have great balance and clean air. No major adjustments. They're going to take 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel on the 5 car. As they're having a bit of an issue on the left front. That
lengthy stop for the 5.
This is becoming a disastrous stop after I talked about that earlier hiccup not being a big deal for Kyle Larson.
This is a lengthy stop.
I mean, this is like
big time.
30
So they
seconds.
dropped the right side too quickly before they were able to pull up the right side, right rear tire. We'll get back and give you another whole look at that. It took forever, as you see behind him, the 1 of Chastain, the 54 of Gibbs serving their penalties.
This might put him a lap down.
10, 12, 15 second longer than normal pit stop. So let's take a look completely. All right side. We're going to jack the right side up, right side tires off, right side tire on. The jacks dropped while he's still tightening it. Waving his hands, tire carrier knows it's not tight. They go to the left side, want to know where the orchestration is, what's going wrong. So that slows down the left side. Then there's communication to go back and take up the right rear. Now Larson is peeling off the banking. He's coming back down to pit road. So I believe that Cliff Daniels feels that there's another issue. Disaster for the playoff drivers so far today. Half of them. Now Kyle Larson, a second pit stop on this wave. Kim, coming to tighten wheels?
I believe so. Haven't heard specifically.
Let's see, Kim, if they jack up this right side or left side.
Left rear.
Left rear, Kim. So another issue on the left rear of the 5.
They didn't even change it.
A lot to untangle, but
they didn't even change the left rear the first time, and they had to change it the second.
Add Larson to it now.
Pressure of the playoffs.
Oh my goodness.
It's not just drivers, it's pit crews, it's everyone. I was just talking about how amazingly fast the pit stops look. And it just leaves no room, right? Like the 5 car was barely a hiccup on the right rear, but the jackman's leaving. And it's kind of like in football when you run a slant route, right? It happens so fast that if the timing's off, the whole play's busted up. And that's how fast these pit stops are. 27 seconds on that original pit stop plus a second stop.
Yikes.
So now, yeah, I hear you, Kyle. I understand the frustration as he's now on multiple laps down.
But now just go back to work, right? You can't fix it. You can't change it. It's over. You just got to go back to work. There's a lot of laps left in this race.
Well, it's very important that he knows, that 20 behind him in theory will probably cycle out to the lead. So while he's multiple laps down, if you're Cliff Daniels, you need to let him know the 20 behind you is going to be another lap eventually. So you need to race him like you're trying to save a lap in the race.
Well, you heard a little bit of Kyle Larson radio. Let's play you a little more.
Where do we start? They come in, they pit, they have trouble on the right rear. The tire carrier doesn't go around. For that reason, the orchestration gets messed up on the left side. They go back to the right, but they don't even change the left rear tire. Just a complete comedy of errors for the 5 car. Cliff Daniels is very organized and a great leader. And these are the things that you hope to avoid in these situations as we see his teammate, the 9 of Chase Elliott, now rejoining the race. 26 laps behind the leaders.
Yeah, it was a big period of time back in the garage area getting that Napa Chevy repaired, and the discussions go on at the 5 team. Back in a moment.
Kyle Larson now scored 2 laps down back in the 31st place position, only 1 spot ahead of actually where Ryan Blaney is currently at on the racetrack. So that could be a huge game saver for the 9 and the 12 and the 45 for that matter that were all involved in that early incident. Blaney remains in this race. He's the only one of those 3 playoff drivers involved in that crash and only one of 5 that had damage from the incident that is actually still out on the racetrack. Chase Elliott pulled onto the track initially, and it looks like actually just in the last lap he has pulled back on the track. Currently, Elliott is scored 27 laps down after they made the repairs to his race car. And the reason they were able to go to the garage and make the repairs that they needed is because they met minimum speed, clearing the DVP clock. So then they went into the garage to make the rest of the repairs they needed to make decent lap time after the fact and be able to get this car to make it to the finish. The hope for Elliott is that more cars drop out of the race and he can end up gaining more points off of that. But that is an incentive to keep running because you just never know what could happen. We see at the end of the Martinsville race in those round of 8 years in the past where it comes down to a point or two, and maybe that comes at the expense of a couple drivers bouncing out of this race here today, and he ends up getting a 27th, 28th place finish instead of a 33rd place finish, and he gains a handful more points. Cliff Daniels dissecting the replay of the pit stop with his pit crew on what went wrong there. It was a whole flurry of things that went wrong, I will say that much. Didn't get the right rear tire secured tightly, so the rear tire changer was still on the right rear of the car waiting for the jackman to come back around. They changed the left front after, of course, the right front was changed. So then the jackman, after the front tire was changed on the left side, went back around to the right where the rear tire changer was the entire time to change that tire, but they never came back around to change the left rear. So that's why Larson had to come back down onto pit road the second time, change the left rear. And this was after being on pit road for over 20 seconds for that first stop with the miscue. Then that's why Instead of 1 lap down, he is currently 2 laps down. Now, Christopher Bell is 13 seconds off the race lead, and fifth should cycle to the lead when the top 4 drivers who still have not made a pit stop under green here in stage 2 do pit. So it'll be interesting to see if Larson will get back to 1 lap down instead of 2. Off of that, I'm not sure where he is running in accordance to where the 20 car is as of right now. A little past the halfway point in today's South Point 400. 129 laps to go. Daniel Suarez has scored as the race leader, 7.3 seconds ahead of Michael McDowell in second. He hasn't pit, neither is McDowell. Corey LaJoie in third, 7.6 seconds off the lead. He also has a pit. Chase Briscoe, 11.1 seconds off the lead in fourth, who also has not hit pit road. 11.5 seconds off the lead, just behind him, Christopher Bell in fifth. And now Bell actually made the pass for fourth on Briscoe on track. Bell ahead of, I believe, Martin Truex Jr. Truex 11.5 seconds off the lead, so that would probably be first and second. Ty Gibbs had a pit road speeding penalty. He was initially in second place before these green flag pit stops started. Ross Chastain, who was also in the top 10, had a pit road speeding penalty. That has dropped him back further in the running order as well. Daniel Suarez pulls to the bottom of the racetrack. See if he pits this time. Never mind, they took the camera off of him. I don't think he pitted anyway. Bell's still making lap time. Truex pitted 3 laps before Bell. That's why he was able to jump up as close to Christopher on track as he is. Might have cycled to second regardless of the Gibbs and Chastain speeding penalties. Which is actually a good rebound considering he was involved in that incident back on lap 86. Lap 62 out of 85 in stage 2, lap 141 of 267 entirely in this race, this time by at the line.
Or 4. They're not going to fight on track today because of the problems this HendrickCars.com Chevy has had. The Larson team on pit road twice, as we showed you, and he is 2 laps down. Now, that's one story within playoff drivers, Marty. The other one, on a more positive, William Byron.
Complete opposite for his teammate William Byron. We talked about the handling issues in stage 1 for Byron. Stage 2, a totally different story. Listen to William. So, Steve, I'm curious if you're really Fugle and you know you think your driver updated on this overall picture because the game has changed. Now you've only got 3 playoff drivers now on the lead lap and a long way to go in this race.
Be a time where I would update him, maybe on a final restart or a late restart if I think my driver needs to kind of maybe dial the risk versus reward scale a little bit one way. But at this point, it's business as usual. That's what William Byron does. I would let him know, man, go get it. You're running 6. There's some guys out there on old tires coming back to you. Michael McDowell is the next car in line. He's for position. Just, green flag cycles can be confusing for drivers when everyone doesn't do it together. So I would just keep him up to date on the positions. There's Michael McDowell being passed. That's another point. If this is the running order to the end of the stage. I tell you, the driver that we're going to have to keep an eye on, Jeff, and you and I have been talking about a little bit, is Denny Hamlin. I know that the strategy call didn't work for the driver of the 11, but he's really in a position here. He's a lap down because he's behind Suarez, but Bell is closing in on Hamlin quickly from behind with 21 laps to go. So the 11 car is going to be an important 20 laps to see if he can stay in front of the 20 car. There's Suarez right in front.
These last few laps of Hamlin have been very important because he's kind of had clean air. So he's been at a late lap time down. Now he's trying to get to the outside of the 99 car. So, the 20 of Bell hasn't had the same pace in order to run him down. But Bell's definitely quicker. But with 21 to go, if Hamlin can lay down clean laps, he may keep him getting lapped. There you go. Here comes Bell.
Let's go for a ride. The Toyota on board. Have a listen. Smooth and fast. That's basically the descriptors, the adjectives for Christopher Bell this weekend here in Vegas in qualifying and here in the race. Let's take a look at some progressive telemetry, some key numbers. Watch that throttle trace.
If you were watching yesterday during qualifying, you saw he never came all the way out of the gas, but that's not today. Much slicker. Cars do not make near as much grip in race trim. Over 190 miles an hour, almost 195, completely out of the gas, just a little bit of brake, very little.
Truex is right there with him.
Truex right behind him. You heard the spotter give the indication about what was going on behind him. There it is.
So right behind his teammate is Martin Truex Jr. Here's the Toyota on board. Looking back at Truex Jr. And he had a quick car yesterday, but qualifying just didn't work out. Just had a little hiccup in qualifying. Now we're seeing what the 19 is capable of. Let's talk more about Truex. Yeah, this is a really nice run for them as he goes for the second spot, none of the lead on this pit cycle with Christopher Bell. They have been working on this race car all day long and really just now finally got it to where Truex is happy. Tightened it up on the last stop and is really pleased with what they've got right now. Dave Small, the crew chief, said that these cars, we're just going to sprint, but having good days that go fast. So trying to finish this day out is going to be the mission for the 19, Marty.
Dylan, don't sleep on Chris Buescher, who has one of the better long-run cars today. And of those who fit in the lap 121 range, he's running fourth right now. And remember Buescher earlier this year at Kansas, Cam, a very similar racetrack to here in Las Vegas. He finished second in the closest finish in NASCAR history. Buescher's got a shot today.
As Bubba Wallace runs in the 12th position, typically race team is 2311 Racing, but they need to drop the green flag. They have been working on this car diligently. He turns out Loudon Tight said he could spin any minute. Said it was a different car from yesterday. Yesterday they looked like they had a good car, a longer car, set up basketballs for tires. They have worked on it, and it's the best it's been all day. 7 is a reasonable goal for Bubba Wallace.
And there is the Ring Toyota out in front as you saw Christopher Bell go past Daniel Suarez with Martin Truex tucked in right behind. This is now first and second in the race.
Quite a battle. Truex going to be respectful of Christopher Bell. Bell in the playoffs, Truex not. But if Truex is going to push this issue, he's not just going to let Christopher Bell roll around here.
$13 to go in this second stage. You noticed before when Denny Hamlin got past the then leader Suarez, he unlapped himself.
Yep.
But Hamlin back in 23rd position. Bell, his teammate, leads the way.
12 laps to go in stage 2. Christopher Bell, who was second at the end of stage 1, has by far led the most laps today. Now he's trying to hold off his teammate, Martin Truex Jr., for this stage win. Just a handful of races left in the career for Martin Truex Jr. in the NASCAR Cup Series level. He will be retiring from full-time Cup Series competition at the end of the season. He did already announce he will be back at Daytona next February for the Daytona 500, but no other scheduled races have been announced for the current driver, the number 19. Could this be the last opportunity he could have to try to get a win in his NASCAR Cup Series career before it is done? It may very well be. And we will see if he's going to have that opportunity to get by his teammate Christopher Bell to make it happen. He really did a great job closing on him when Christopher was stuck in lap traffic. Bell's had a hard time trying to lap Ross Chastain this entire run, who's been right in front of him and really holding him up. Chastain just trying to mirror drive and mimic the line that Bell is running. Put him in that dirty air pocket, and it has definitely slowed him down. Heading a couple laps earlier for Truex, gained him a couple seconds over Bell as well, because Bell had a 3-second lead going into the green flag stops. Truex pitted at lap 121. Bell pitted at lap 124. So those few laps made a difference. William Byron, by the way, he was just talking a little bit ago to his crew chief, Rudy Fugel, that he feels that his car has come alive and they made the right adjustments. Bell faster than the race leaders that last lap and as well as the lap before. 31.0 to the 31.1s that Bell and Truex are running. Byron is within about 1.2 seconds of the lead with 9 laps left in stage 2. So don't count him out of this race yet either. So again, for any Larson fans out there, he was 2 laps down when he first came out of the pits, but Daniel Suarez, who had not hit pit road yet at that time, and still hasn't, but now he's fallen to 6th on the older tires. That's where Larson made up his 1 lap, but he is still a lap down in 31st. Nowhere near the free pass position to get there before the end of this stage. Ty Gibbs in 26, who had the speeding penalty during the green flag stops, is currently the free pass car if he were to stay there to the end of the stage. And again, Chastain, the last car in the lead lap currently, or at least is passing Jimmy Johnson as of right now, who is also barely on the lead lap. So if Johnson or Chastain go a lap down before the end of the stage, then Gibbs won't even get the free pass either. So Truex has gotten to within a couple car lengths of Bell, and he came very close to getting underneath them once. Bell gains a huge amount of ground on the bottom lane of the track. Truex to the middle group through 3 and 4. 6 laps left now in stage 2. And Jimmy Johnson will lose his lap as he is very loose in that middle groove, trying to hang on to his race car. Legacy having a decent day. Nemechek's in 14th right now. Johnson's actually outrunning Eric Jones. Jones is 29th. Had that right front tire come off earlier. Jimmy, first car lap down in 25th. Chastain closer to the front bumper of the 20 of Bell, who is the leader, than what Truex is to the back bumper of the race leader of Christopher Bell. Shout out also Justin Haley in the 8th place position, having a solid run here today for Spire Motorsports. And he's pretty much been running in that top 10 since the end of stage 1. He was 10th after that first restart with the incident we saw between Reddick, Elliott, Blaney, Truex. After that next restart, he got to 10th, and he's been up in the top 10 ever since. So now he's up to 8th. Great run for Haley. And he'll be going to Spire Motorsports full-time next season and in-season trade this year. He runs the final 7 races this year from Kansas through the end of the year. This is now his 4th race with that 17 this season. 3 to go. Truex trying to make another run after Bell. Bell still has not been able to get by Ross Chastain. Truex hasn't capitalized yet to make a pass. Chase Briscoe in the outer lane of the racetrack also about to fall a lap down. Chastain looking to pass him for position. Side by side now in front of the race leader Bell. Nowhere to go for clean air. Josh Berry in the 4 car also tail into the lead lap slower. And Truex had a massive run through 3 and 4 and got to the back bumper of the 20. Almost got underneath them off of the exit of the corner. Briscoe goes a lap down. Johnson no longer in the free pass spot. Truex to the outside lane through turns 1 and 2. Bell down on the bottom in the dirty air behind Chastain. Slides up on corner exit. Here comes Truex on the back straightaway. Bell got a stage win stolen from him in stage 1 on that late stage restart with about 9 to go. Reddick got through the field quicker and was able to win the stage. So Bell trying to hold on here. Problems for Todd Gillen. Flat left rear tire for the 38. He has made it to pit road. We do stay green. Final lap now of the stage. Can Truex make up these last couple car lengths? Bell to the inside of Josh Berry in the 4. He gapped Truex through 3 and 4 the lap before that. Berry side drafting with the race leader down the back straightaway. Bell to the bottom of the racetrack. Truex right there behind him, but still not close enough to pounce for the lead. So even in heavy lap traffic to the end of the stage, Christopher Bell holds on to win stage 2 here at Las Vegas. Martin Truex Jr. 2nd, William Byron 3rd. 4th for Chris Buescher and Joey Logano 5th. Your top 5 at the end of stage 2. Alex Bowman in 6th. Justin Haley moved up another spot to 7th. Daniel Suarez on fuel mileage ends up 8th. Bubba Wallace 9th, and Ryan Preece rounds out the top 10. I believe he also was able to save enough gas. Same strategy as Suarez. Camp out, get a couple stage points there for the two of them. 19 stage points today for Christopher Bell, more than any other driver. Justin Allgaier in the Xfinity race yesterday was able to do the same thing, though he did not win the race. Also after winning stage 2 in that one, so we'll see if Bell can capitalize here and go to victory lane for the 4th time this season and punch that ticket to the championship 4. Therefore, he wouldn't have to worry about what happens at both Homestead and Martinsville in the next 2 races. Appreciate everybody that has tuned into the stream so far this afternoon. Whether you have or haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. And also subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, live commentary, NASCAR streams like this every NASCAR race weekend for Truck, Xfinity, Cup races, as well as Cup practice and qualifying. Just 3 weekends left. We'll still have NASCAR content throughout the winter, as we do during the week as well. Right here on KRC. Time to end the chat poll. 38% of the 159 votes that were casted ended up taking Kyle Larson for the win today. Obviously, a lap down at the end of the stage. It's going to be a long shot for him to get it done, but he did lead the poll. 32% of you took somebody other than Bell, Reddick, or Larson. Reddick out of the race now, ends up finishing 35th today after his flip back in stage 2 in the early going. He won stage 1, had a good start to the day, caught up in that incident on that next race start, and then Christopher Bell, second in stage 1 and had just won stage 2. He got 15% of the votes, 14% for Reddick. 7 cars, 1 lap down, I believe so. Free pass goes to Josh Berry, who got lapped on the final lap of stage 2, right in 3 and 4 there, coming to the finish. So Berry gets the free pass. All the cars a lap down are Jimmy Johnson, Ty Gibbs, Chase Briscoe, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Shane Van Gisbergen, Eric Jones, and Kyle Larson. And then Todd Gillen, who was on the lead lap, had that left rear tire go flat. He is now 3 laps down in 31st. Ryan Blaney on track, 7 laps down in 32nd. Chase Elliott also on track, 26 laps down in 33rd. 4 cars out of the race: Austin Cindric, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, and Austin Dillon. Our average race speed to this point, 135.34 miles per hour. Little under 2 hours from the initial start of the race to where we're at now. And the stage yellow is our 4th caution. In total in this one, 2 of them for incident, 1 in stage 1, 1 in stage 2. And then the 2 stage ends, lap 80 and 165. Pit row will be open this time by.
Correct. So we have Bell leading, Byron 3rd, Logano 5th. Playoff drivers having good days. Denny Hamlin 19th. That's actually an average day of playoff drivers, if you could imagine so far. Larson a lap down. So I think for Hamlin, you got to make adjustments to move forward. If you're Larson, you want to have a clean pit cycle here so you can make adjustments and race for the free pass.
That's kind of where the playoffs stand at this point. All right, pit road's about to get super busy. Dylan Welsh standing by. They're coming your way. And Joey Logano will peel out right there. Pits for 5th at the top of the screen. Said his long run balance wasn't great, but didn't really indicate where exactly he felt like they're going to be better. Maybe just a small air pressure adjustment for the 22, Cam.
Christopher Bell in the middle in that 20 car, 19 points earned for stage 2 winner Bell. And for him, balance is better. He said it feels good, just fighting a little snug in traffic, but nothing, he said, that needed to be changed. So it's going to be routine service, fresh rubber and gas, Hardy.
3rd most stage points earned today for William Byron, who said the car stayed with me much better, but I honestly feel like we're in a good spot handling wise. And Rudy Kugel said, I think the track's going to change. I'm going to make a small adjustment. Dylan, what's going on?
It sounds like the 11 made there. Yeah, he overshot his pit box. Chris Gabehart was screaming, back up, back up, back up. So it is just continuing to go from bad to worse here for the 11.
Yeah, he didn't overshoot, Dylan. He just, first of all, he stopped very short, surprisingly again. And then they must have had an issue on the left rear. So let's take a look. Once again, short, 4, 5, 6 feet short of his mark. Very on Denny Hamlin light. Good on the right side. They come to the left side. Pit crew doing okay. Tire up, left rear tire on. Jack Ham, left rear not tight. Luckily for the 11, he didn't take the loose wheel onto the racetrack.
some sort of issues today, whether caught up in an incident or pit road blunders for 5 of the 8 drivers that are in the championship hunt right now. The only 3 not to have any sort of an issue are the 3 in the top 5, Bell in the lead, Byron in 3rd, and Joey Logano in 5th. Following the slow stop, Denny Hamlin is towards the tail end of the lead lap in 23rd. Kyle Larson still lap down in 27th. And then also Ryan Blaney 32nd, as I mentioned, 7 laps down, 26 laps down for Chase Elliott in 33rd. Brad Keselowski 35th out of the race. So that's where the 8 playoff drivers are running as of this point. We'll take an ad break here. You're listening live on KRC to the South Point 400 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We have 66 likes on the stream. Our like goal is to get to 100. So be sure to hit that like button if you have not yet done so. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We'll return to our NASCAR 07 streams tomorrow night on the channel. We've got the Milwaukee Mile coming up for our next NASCAR 07 Busch Series race. And we'll start that thing off at 5 p.m. Eastern. So again, 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow evening. We'll go live for that one. More streams throughout the week leading up to next Friday, I believe, is when the Truck Series will be at Homestead. I'll actually check that right now. Not sure if that's a Saturday afternoon before the Xfinity race or if that's a Friday night race for the trucks. Saturday, actually. Okay, so double header there. So next weekend for live commentary, we're going to actually end up having a triple header, it looks like. 9 a.m. Eastern will be our first live stream next Saturday for the Homestead Miami Speedway action for NASCAR Cup practice qualifying. Again, 9 a.m. Eastern next Saturday. At noon Eastern, we will have the NASCAR Truck Series race, followed by the Xfinity race later that evening at 4 p.m. So a triple header next Saturday on the channel for live commentary content. Our Cup Series race next Sunday will begin at 2 p.m. Eastern with our pre-race coverage.
100 on a beautiful day here in Vegas. If you're just joining us, it has been a hugely eventful day for the playoff drivers. Denny Hamlin, shortstops in his box. That was the earliest stop. That wasn't the most recent one. Tyler Reddick in the first stage got maximum points. Day was looking fantastic for the 45. Yeah, a little bit of damage to the nose of the 5, some aluminum in it. No big deal. They came down, they made some repairs, but it gave him back track position. Then this, the big wreck. This is the moment you're terrified of as a playoff driver. 3 of them in this. Tyler Reddick rolls over on the front straightaway. And his day is over. Elliott, he's 26 laps down. Had to come to the garage. And this is Ryan Blaney. Look there, right closest to camera. Wounded, the 12. And he sits some 7 laps down. And then absolute disaster on pit road for the 5-car. Trouble on the right side. It carries over trouble to the left side. They come back to the right side, tighten up the wheel. Then they had to come back in and tighten up or change the left rear. Cliff Daniels' stress level is peaking. And then the 11, once again, struggles to get to his mark, which hurts the pit stop. And that's not really an excuse for them not being able to get the left rear tire on, which happens here. They drop the jack. Whoa. Chris Gabehart says they back up. Tighten the left rear back up.
Remember after the Kansas race, Denny Hamlin was so frustrated with this pit crew. That's not getting better today.
Watching with an eager eye, Brad, DJ. We thought today was going to be eventful. Maybe not this eventful, though, especially for the playoff drivers.
You know, DJ, you said it best earlier today. We were talking about, is this a must-win race and so forth and so on. You look at the playoff points today. Now, all of a sudden, you said it best earlier. You don't want to go to next week having to win a race because you're running out of time. That's exactly what has happened to some of these playoff guys.
Yeah, and Joey Logano's sitting there saying for the second week in a row, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate the opportunity here. Yeah, I watch this, guys, and I'm not Vince Lombardi, but all I can think of is a quote from him that said, "What the hell is going on out there?"
Dylan, what do you got? Oh, we just heard a little pep talk from Chris Gabehart to his driver, Denny Hamlin. Take a listen.
Obviously, a headache now. Get better in here, make sure you get your grind. we're short for time, a little bit before that's not wide open. Still got lots of laps to go in this race. Stay positive, we're gonna drive up to there.
Toy's the cheerleader. That's what you got to be when you're on top of the box. I love how he did it right there as we ride on board the Coca-Cola can with Denny Hamlin, taking a look at the driver. Hey, that's not why it's loose, but you could help, right? That was good coaching. There's that Vince Lombardi DJ was looking for. We'll see if it pays off.
Hit your marks next time you get a chance. Stage 3.
Green flag back in the air. Christopher Bell and Martin Truex Jr. back on the front row this time. Truex trying to hang on the right rear corner panel of Bell as they drive it off into turns 1 and 2. 2 by 2 are a couple Fords in line just behind them of Joey Logano and Chris Buescher. Logano couldn't stay alongside with the car he was racing with. And now Buescher and Byron side by side for third. How about Justin Haley up to fifth and looking to the inside into turn 3. A late block by Byron to hold on. And Haley has to lift and maybe give a spot up to Bubba Wallace. Out in front of the field is Christopher Bell off the exit of turn 4, clear of the race leader Martin Truex Jr. And now back to that clean air advantage. Still scrum through the center of the pack. Couple drivers further back in the field going to the apron on the front straightaway. Trying to pick up some more time. Wallace Haley still door-to-door for 5th place off turn 2. And Chris Buescher up to a race-high 3rd place position as he rides in line behind the 2 Toyotas leading the way. Our current playoff standing outlook based on how all the incidents, oh boy, have taken place so far. 4 wide, Larson trying to race himself into the free pass position. We'll go more to that in a moment. Splitting around Michael McDowell, Denny, Hamlin, Harrison, Burton. Hamlin obviously trying to pick up spots on the restart as well. Larson rocketing forward. He's trying to chase Ty Gibbs for the free pass spot, which would be 24th place. Gibbs has that positioning right now. Larson within a few car lengths behind him. Both cars in the outer lane trying to get by cars that are faster than at the tail end of the lead lap. Big run off turn 4 for Larson versus Gibbs. Larson dive bombs to the inside of the track through turns 1 and 2. And as he looks to slide clear on corner exit, he is going to get it. And we'll see if Gibbs attempts the crossover. Looks to the inside into 3 and 4. That will be the case. Larson more momentum riding the top near the wall. Cuts middle off. But now trapped behind Daniel Hemrick. Still pulls clear of Gibbs at the start-finish line again. Gains a spot. An important one if we get another yellow. If Larson can remain in front of Gibbs, 1 caution away from getting back on the lead lap. Obviously, assuming we don't have a long enough green flag run that some of these other cars at the tail end of the lead lap behind him don't fall a lap down. Which could be possible because we've had a couple of long green flag runs already today. Gibbs almost slapped the wall off the exit of turn 4, pushing too hard, trying to keep up with Larson. Got a bit tight in the dirty air as they ran similar line, that middle to upper groove, through turns 3 and 4 that last time. Larson gaps him more. 0.6 of a second lead in front of the field for Christopher Bell over Martin Truex Jr. 1 second back. Chris Buescher in 3rd. William Byron 1.4 seconds back at 4th. And Bubba Wallace in 5th, 2 seconds off the lead. Highest he has been in the running order today. First time Bubba has cracked the top 5. Usually pretty strong on these 1.5-mile tracks. Didn't see it at Kansas a couple weeks ago, but we're seeing it here today faintly at Las Vegas. Tell you what, if Gibbs grazed that wall off turn 4 about a lap ago, yeah, he definitely kissed it. It was just a kiss. Slight little smooch. Larson driving away from him still. Faster car at this point in the run. But less than 100 laps for him to have to hope for a caution, then try to drive back through the field again. I didn't get to the Stage 2 diecast showing during the stage break, but here it is. I was coming into the day with Blaney starting at the back of the field. He was going to need some good luck, so I figured I'd have my good luck diecast out. His race-winning diecast for Michigan in 2021. Only race I've ever seen him win live in person. So I was going to show it off today. Sure enough, he gets in an incident in Stage 2, well before the diecast showing. So he's going to need more luck going into next week. He's currently 26 points below the cut line. This is the Cardell Cabinetry paint scheme. Kind of just a typical Blaney scheme with the fluorescent colors on the side panels of the car and basically just whatever the sponsor on the front of it is. Like this week it was kind of a black title sponsor, so he had similar colors, but instead of red and neon. It's neon and black this weekend. Again, this is from 2021. One of the few race winning diecasts that I have. The only one of a Blaney one that I have as of this point. Bell extends his lead to 0.8 of a second over the last few laps. A little more than that now. Last lap, he was 0.2 quicker than Martin Truex Jr. William Byron a little bit faster than Buescher and Truex in front of him, but not as fast as Bell out in front of the field. When Christopher's not dealing with traffic, he's got the quickest car in clean air today. Now, lap traffic was a great equalizer towards the end of stage 2, really allowed for Truex to cut into that lead. So if we get a longer green flag run to get to that point, or pit stops where he may lose the lead for the first time today, that could cost him as well. And really looking back on it in hindsight too, that's probably a large reason as to why he didn't win stage 1. Had a couple drivers that were out there on older tires in front of him and couldn't get around him as quickly as Reddick, and that's how Reddick stole the first stage win away from Bell, who ended up getting to second by the end of the stage, but again, not that stage win. 0.3 quicker that last lap for Bell over Truex. 33 to Truex's 36. Fastest lap of the entire race also ran, it appears to be, by Christopher Bell, who had a 29.267 second lap time. That was all the way back on lap 2 of this race. That is an average speed on that lap of 184.508 miles per hour. 132.71 mile per hour average race speed right now. 2 hour 5 minutes total time in this race. Bell has led for 113 laps and counting. He's the only driver to lead more than once. He's led 4 different times. Obviously started on the pole. And, I mean, clearly he's had the fastest car this entire race. He'll be tough to beat. Track isn't really going to go through many more changes from now to the end of the race as well. So it's going to be tough to make that major adjustment. Might need a mistake out of the pit crew, the 20, to give him a chance, which could happen. You never know. Seen a lot of late race restarts this year, obviously, as well, so that could come into play. Next closest playoff driver in the running order behind Bell would be Byron in 4th. And again, Logano in 8th, the only 3 of them in the top 10. Denny Hamlin, since the restart, has only rallied up to 17th. And Gibbs is catching Larson back for that free pass position. He was starting to fall behind, but Gibbs on this longer run is going to get that position back around the outside through 1 and 2. So Gibbs now back in the free pass spot. Larson needs to try to push forward again. I mean, this is actually a good battle too, because these are 2 cars that were in the top 10 up until their issues on pit road in this race. The speeding penalty for Gibbs. He was in 2nd place earlier before those green flag pit stops. Big loose moment for Gibbs. He almost got against the wall off turn 2. He's been very loose most of this run. That's how Larson got around him the first time and that time. So Larson back in the free pass spot again. But as I was going to mention, Gibbs was in 2nd at the time of his speeding penalty. Larson was up right around 7th, 8th place in stage 2 at the time of their lengthy pit stop, and then having to come back onto pit road a 2nd time after the team had forgotten to change the left rear tire from the mishaps from the pit stop the lap before. So these are definitely 2 cars that if they get a quick enough caution and we have enough laps left, they will have that time to be able to drive themselves back into the top 10. I'm sure of it. But they have to have enough laps to get there first. And they're catching Gregson and Suarez right now in 14th and 15th just in front of them. It's also really a cat and mouse game of who could get through the traffic the best of the slower cars ahead of them, on top of racing each other. 2.2 second lead for Bell out in front of Truex again. Interval between 1st and 3rd for Chris Buescher, 3.4 seconds back. 4 seconds off lead for William Byron in 5th. And Alex Bowman now up to 5th place since the restart, getting by Haley and Wallace. Bowman now 5.9 seconds off the lead. Bowman, one of the biggest movers since the last restart, was up in the top 3 early in the race. Fell behind on that very first restart towards the end of stage 1. Hadn't really been back in the top 10 for much of the race since. Slowly working himself forward here now that we're in the late going, just 76 laps to go. Bell's still the quickest car on the track. Still a bit outside the fuel window. May see green flag stops starting as soon as that window opens, around 60 to go. Maybe a couple laps before that, we may see drivers try to stretch it and pit. Oh, Gibbs up against the wall. Off turn 4, again gets loose. It's a slight scrape. Not the first time he's clipped it. Oh, and around he goes in turn 2. Gibbs slides. Big stream of smoke down the back straightaway as he tries to lock it down and keep it off the inside wall, and he does. I mean, he was battling loose conditions that entire run and just couldn't hold on anymore. Trying so hard to keep up with Larson. And that will give Kyle Larson the free pass position with 74 laps left. Our 5th caution.
Yeah, but Kyle Larson right there. He finally hit him a little jackpot. Get back in the lead lap. We'll see how many points he can gain. I mean, like I said, he was up to Suarez, was 15th, Jeff. So, you know, there's still a lot of racing ahead. Some timely yellows. We'll see what Larson can make of it.
Let's see what happened to Ty Gibbs. Oh,
Smooth.
No contact, though.
that was what we were talking about. That was the contact with the wall.
It just show, I mean, that's how you have to drive these race cars. You have to push them. That's going to put him 2 laps down. So now the struggle getting back in the lead lap becomes that much more difficult for Ty Gibbs.
Well, and now it's 73 to go, 72 to go when they open pit road, I believe, if it's open this time. That is just outside what we thought the fuel window could be, which is upper 60s, maybe 68, 69, 70 laps. So whether you think you can make it or not is not the point. You're going to pit here, fill it up with fuel all the way. And if we don't see another caution, you're going to try to make it. So you're either going to have to save enough gas, slow down enough, lift early enough. Every aspect of your team is tested consistently. Now we're even talking fuel mileage. We'll see if that becomes a play in this race with 72 to go, Dylan.
Martin Truex Jr. runs in the 2nd spot and had asked for some entry and exit stability on the last stop. And then on this most recent run, just said he was losing the rear tires about 15 laps into that run. I believe it'll just be an air pressure adjustment on the 19th, Kim.
As the 20 of Christopher Bell makes his way down pit road, he's the middle of your screen. He said he got his first wiggle off for that run. It did tell Adam Stevens the crew chief he feels like it's going to trend looser this run. They'll take on 4 fresh Goodyear tires. Snow fuel, Marty.
Kim William Byron gets from 4th on track, but the 2nd highest running playoff driver. He told Rudy Fugle it just takes way too long for the rear grip to come in on the 24. And a drag race off pit road, the 24 gains a spot there, Diff, but they almost gained 2.
There's those key figures. It's all about the numbers here in Vegas. This region was first discovered in the 1800s, founded in the early 1900s. It is one of the world's go-to places.
So under caution for the 5th time today. We only had 1 caution in stage 1 and stage 2. This is our first caution for incident in stage 3. Waiting to see what our full leaderboard is going to look like headed to this next restart when we get back to racing here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Again, free pass goes to Kyle Larson, so he is now back on the lead lap with the caution. Outside the fuel window to make it to the end of this race from when we last pitted, presumably, if it does go green to the end. But obviously tires matter, that we had about 30 laps on them, so that is why everybody came to pit road for 4 tires that time around. So we shall see how this is all going to kind of cycle out. While we await the next restart, we'll take our next ad break. You're listening live on KRC, the South Point 400 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, right here on KRC. Slow stop on pit road, by the way, Kathy. I saw you asking in the chat what happened to Larson. He had to step away. He had a slow stop at stage 2, which had put him a lap down. Had to come back down a second time. So after the pit road blunder, finally gets into the free pass spot. Wasn't able to do it at the end of the stage, but was able to do it here early in stage 3. And I think he's definitely quick enough with as many laps as we have left to get a top 10 finish. So we shall see.
What has been a fascinating afternoon here in the desert continues as we welcome you back. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs live from Las Vegas. This is the South Point 400.
Jeff, I'm looking forward to Wednesday because you'll be joining our friends Mike Bailey and Pete Bestone on the Sirius XM radio on the NASCAR channel 90, 9 a.m. every Wednesday. Jeff, you're going to be on this week, and I want a play-by-play of everything that happened today.
Oh, yeah.
I want to look forward to next week, and I hope they give you more than 15 minutes because in the next...
Are we going to do a play-by-play of this?
Well, you know how they say things in Vegas? Well, hospital trips in Vegas, everybody finds out about. So you don't want to ride on the roof of whatever car that was.
No easy questions on Wednesday, Diff. You better be ready.
Bagman and Pistol Pete.
fastballs.
Yeah.
I love listening to the guys.
I'm
And
glad I don't have to be on there because then I have to hear from Pistol Pete about baseball and the wrong team won last night.
maybe we'll go there on Wednesday.
Interesting time as we've seen to choose 69 to go when they take the green. We had cars at the end of stage 2 run 74 laps. So I believe every car on the lead lap is going to try to extend this to be the final run of the race if we don't get a yellow. Who can do it and who can do it creating the most speed?
The best car on track today has been the car black and white with the big red Ream logo on the hood. Christopher Bell. Will it stay that way? He's shadowed by a playoff rival, his teammate on the outside.
Green flag back in the air. Great push for Byron to the back of the 20 of Bell. A great launch in the restart zone as Bell has done all day as well. He is easily clear of Truex before diving off into one a bit wide. Center of the corner. Joey Logano in a dicey situation around Kyle Busch, who kind of chopped him off. Logano had to block and cover the outside on Suarez, and Nemechek back there in the 9th place position. Byron side by side with Martin Truex Jr. for second for the majority of that first lap following the restart. Justin Haley trying to go for 4th on Alex Bowman. They're still side by side for position as well. Sailing it off through 1 and 2. Bowman clear on corner exit for 4th. Haley with a big block on Chris Buescher. My goodness, Buescher all the way down to the inside of the racetrack. He was almost down on the apron back straightaway trying to get by him. And Buescher able to get back into 5th before entering turn 3. Kyle Busch showing some life on the restart. First time he's been in the top 10 today, and he's now battling for 7th with Ross Chastain. Went to the apron in the middle of the front stretch that time. Got underneath him. Still side by side for 7th down the back straightaway. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin back in traffic trying to gain ground. Hamlin struggled back in traffic all day. Kyle Larson picking up spots after just finally getting the free pass. Barely clears the 10 of Noah Gragson as well as Michael McDowell. Nice 3-wide maneuver. Don't look now, but Kyle Larson is up to 19th. Great run through the middle lane. Little clean air on the nose of the 4. The 11 to the middle and outside of him. Going to continue on in that middle groove again through 3 and 4. He has barely cleared to his outside. Slips on Denny Hamlin. Clears him corner exit off turn 4. Larson is just dissecting his way through traffic. This is the champion Kyle Larson we know and love. And he's putting on a clinic coming from the back, trying to charge forward to the front of the field, already up to 17th. 8 positions gained just in the first 4 laps following the restart. This is definitely his advantage spot to try to gain the most points. Went from about 25 points above the cut line on the restart now to plus 33, right where he started this race at. We'll have 63 laps to go this time by. Quite a way still to the checker. Bell leads, but Byron now the second place car trying to chase him.
No telling. There you go. See, that's the difference. There we go. Ran the top, had a little bit of momentum. He's inside the 5.
It's not back here battling for 16th, 17th. First the battle that is back here. Well, this is it. These guys do this all day. Fighting for their lives back here.
Top box is first and second. Appropriately, they're playoff drivers in Christopher Bell and William Byron. And William Byron, if he keeps this run going, and this run being in the round of 12, it was a second, third, third. Here he is running second again. The consistency from that 2014 has been unreal. And it's been well documented all day and what the advantage of winning this race is. Not just you make the championship 4, but you're the first to make it. So while you will be in Miami next week, and you will be in Martinsville in 2 weeks, and on those Sundays you're going to race to win, Div. During the week, all the engineers, all the men and women, or whatever organization it is that's fortunate enough to win, they have extra time to prepare that Phoenix approach, that car, and what they're going to do on that weekend. Congrats, by the way, to AJ Allmendinger. The Dinger won here last night, and we'll go through to that championship round in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
This early in a run, I think this is the most competition that we've seen given to Christopher Bell. William Byron sitting right there, either the same pace or a little bit quicker. So now, Christopher Bell, will there be another caution? Will there not? With 60 to go, he now knows he may have to make his car a little bit better.
Or, my only counter would be, is Bell trying to save a little gas? Is it outside the window of what the 20 can run? But the cars that ran over 70 last didn't have this pace. So, is he looking up to the 24 saying, hey, I want to drive away from you, but I'm trying to work this right foot a little bit and try to save a little bit of gas? I think there are cars in the field that are going to try to make it, but the guys that are leading are definitely burning the most fuel.
It's Christopher Bell's 10th appearance in Cup here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and he has far exceeded the laps led today of all the other 9 appearances together. Here comes William Byron, the 24, trying for the lead of this race.
Oh, Christopher Bell, right to the bottom to block that run. That is the advantage. These cars have a camera on the rear bumper that the driver can look at, it's where the mirror used to be. It's now a camera, and it is 100% clear view. It allows the drivers to be real aggressive on those blocks.
This is the fight for 6th, 7th between Daniel Suarez and Justin Haley, and Haley on the outside goes around. He spoke about just settling back into Spire Motorsports, getting to know the procedures of the team. Every team kind of works in different ways. And so he said it's been a good settling in period, but by the time we hit the ground at the Daytona 500 next year, we'll be ready. We will be more consolidated. Well, it looks like they're pretty consolidated here today. What a run by the 7th. Really encouraging stuff.
56 laps to go here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Battle for the lead going on between Christopher Bell and William Byron. In first and second place, Alex Bowman sits third, Martin Truex Jr. fourth, Chris Buescher fifth, Ross Chastain sixth, his Trackhouse teammate Daniel Suarez in seventh, Justin Haley, as you just heard, was in eighth, Kyle Busch ninth, and Bubba Wallace rounds out the top 10. Joey Logano now in 11th. Ryan Preece in 12th, Harrison Burton 13th, John Hunter Nemechek 14th, Kyle Larson on the restart up 10 spots to 15th. Denny Hamlin right behind him in 16th, 17th for Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar 18th, 19th for Daniel Hemrick and Josh Berry in 20th. Noah Gregson 21st, Corey LaJoie 22nd, Michael McDowell 23rd, Cody Ware 24th, and Chase Briscoe 25th is the last car in the lead lap. Eric Jones first car lap down in 26th. Team owner teammate Jimmy Johnson in 27th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 28th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 29th, and Ty Gibbs in 30th. Todd Gillen 31st, Ryan Blaney 32nd, 33rd for Chase Elliott, 34th Austin Cindric. Tyler Reddick will finish 35th as he's out of the race as well. Brad Keselowski 36th and Austin Dillon 37th rounds out our field of 37 cars. Bell's now led for 141 laps and counting out in front of the field. He will go on to lead over half the scheduled distance laps in today's race, based on where he's at right now. Again, a highlight on those playoff drivers, where they're running. We've got Christopher Bell leading the way, William Byron in second. 11th is Joey Logano, next playoff driver back in the running orders. He got the top two and nobody else in the top 10. Larson Hamlin 15th, 16th. Blaney Elliott 32nd, 33rd. And then Tyler Reddick will finish 35th. Elliott Blaney still on track. Elliott 27 laps down, Blaney 7 laps down. Nobody else has gotten knocked out of the race since their incident, so they haven't gained any more positions on track since. 51 laps to go and maybe a fuel mileage race here at Las Vegas. Last race started with 69 laps to go. Some are going to try to stretch this fuel window. I would imagine many are going to try to stretch this fuel window to the finish. And we'll see who will be the best at doing so.
As millions of you do, you represent your favorite driver during the playoffs. Take advantage of amazing deals at the NASCAR shop. You can check out the greatest selection of t-shirts, die-casts, and a whole lot more by visiting NASCAR.com/shop. Welcome back, 51 to go. Closing stage of the first race of the round of 8 in the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. The Xfinity fastest lap. Oh, it so appropriately belongs to one of the playoff drivers, the pole man, and the guy who has led 142 laps today. That's Christopher Bell. Let's talk more about playoff drivers. Kim Kuhn kicks us off. Let's go, Kimmy.
Yeah, Christopher Bell in the lead after winning the pole yesterday, and we won. I asked him, is this a statement by the team? And he said, no, because we've done this before. We won the pole, but we had to have won this race. And so that went to thinking this weekend for the team. Chief Adam Stevens did not select pit stall 1. They chose pit stall 6. He told me we've been here, they've gotten the pole pit stall 1, had them at a start, still lost the race. So I exact same twist again and show them win this race. Did I look like an idiot? They knew they had to try something new. Adam also told me anything outside of a win is a disappointment here this afternoon, Marty. They've led 143 laps.
Yeah, the year started off so well for William Byron, winning the Daytona 500, the first driver to win multiple races this year. But in the summer and the start of the playoffs, their speed was gone. I asked Rudy Fugle, what did you change to get that performance out of the car in the round of 12? He said, honestly, nothing. But William and I sat down and said, hey, let's stop worrying about things in the future. Races to come. Let's focus week by week. That's the playbook, Dylan, they used last year to make it to the championship four. Hoping they can do it again this year.
Joey Logano runs in 12th right now, going backwards, battling a tight race car. But he said earlier this weekend, execution is our bread and butter. If we do that, things are going to end up in our favor. And on a day with so many issues for so many other playoff drivers, they've been quietly near the front all day. They scored stage points, and as we sit now, have gone from 8th in points at the start of the day to 4th and in by 6. Denny Hamlin rides in the 15th position. Chris Gabehart said earlier today, the last round felt like a haunted house. It was so chaotic for us. The next 4 races are way more in our wheelhouse. That's true of everybody, but they like when they can control their own destiny. Their destiny today, though, has been a lot more chaos. The issues of others have minimized some of the damage, but the 11 likely going to have some work to do the next couple of weeks, Cam.
Speaking of chaos, how about Kyle Larson in the 16th position? That's all they've had to deal with today. And it's interesting because I talked to Critique Cliff Daniels this morning and said, are you guys feeling headed into this round? You said, the thing for us is that we are a resilient bunch. We stay battle tested. Well, they got tested today. They had aluminum in the grill. Then they had a big pit road mishap. Right now, though, they have rebounded well in that 16th position, got a lap back after being 2 laps down. That lucky enough position he stole from Ty Gibson, where Ty went crashing out. And right now, great rebound for Larson, Marty.
Yeah, this is a Las Vegas weekend. Ryan Blaney would love to forget. A lap 1 crash in practice. They had to go to a backup car. They had to start off. He worked his way forward and then contact with the wall. They have damage on the car. It's hurt pretty bad. Blaney limping around. The one thing, Kim, they have in their back pocket here in the round of 8. Remember last year, on his way to the championship, Ryan Blaney won at Martinsville, put himself in the championship 4. He might need to do that again this year.
Up his own was part of that incident with Tyler Reddick that he variants for the like they trying and taking. Their strength this season has been their consistency, but that does not mean that consistency is going to guarantee you a spot in Phoenix. Richard Allen told me we have got to win. Chase Elliott, 6 laps down after the incident, they had to go change a control arm on that number 9 Chevrolet.
Well, that's 7 cars of the 8 day because we're missing one, and that's Tyler Reddick, who's not on the racetrack yet because of this accident earlier today.
Yeah, this was big battle off turn 4. Truex Elliott. Reddick, watch Reddick. Hits the little quarter-mile racetrack in the infield, and over he goes. Has the presence to drop at the pit road, but too much damage.
Well, with 42 to go, we have a lot going on here with the playoff drivers, but a lot going on in the race. This man right here, 48 of Alex Bowman, is up to the 2nd position and rolling. So let's go to set the stage. We have 24 cars on the lead lap. It's an uncomfortable run from the last caution to the finish on fuel for all of them. I believe some can make it. Some are short. It's the approach that I'm not sure we really know about. From what I see out of this 48 and what I'm reading on the radio, they're not sure the tires want to run 70 laps, and they're looking for the all-out push. So I think what you're going to see right here is the 48 run as hard as possible and then just pit anyway. I think there's going to be a wave of cars that pit halfway in this run right now. And what they're going to try to do, Marty, is put fresh tires on it, increase the pace, and push the drivers who are trying to save fuel.
This is going to be interesting. A top-class car pitting. Chris Buescher coming down pit road. They're going to put on 4 fresh Goodyear tires and have fuel certainly to make it to the end. And to your point about Alex Bowman, yes, a moment ago, Blake Harris told him, hey, the guys in front of us, they're trying to save. We are not trying to save. Go as fast as you can, Dylan.
Pit stops continuing. Martin Truex Jr. pitched inside the top 5. Said, we were worse this run. I was drifting through 3 and 4. 4 tires of fuel, another air pressure adjustment, Kim.
And final lesson, kids race down the road, Virginia. Total final beginning of this run. Everybody is outside the fuel window. You can plan for one more stop. This team has 2 sets of sticker tires left. Compared to most of the field, they're going to put 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Snowco fuel in the machine for Kyle Larson.
What a determined effort from both driver and team to get back on the lead lap and to just keep climbing, keep digging. Now Adam Stevens, the crew chief for the 20, has got to make a decision. Are you running to the finish or are you coming to get tires? You can't be in the middle. If you run 15 extra laps and then pit anyway, the guys that have pitted are going to jump over you on the racetrack. Such a tough decision for a crew chief as now we see Bowman from the top 3 pit. Oh, there we go. Decision made. Pit this time. We heard the live radio from the 20. Marty.
Here comes Alex Bowman down pit road. They're going to put for the fuel they need as well. So it seems to be opening up here. Now the Bell is going to make his move. What do you do if you're Rudy Fuel? We're talking a moment ago. Close. We're about 2 laps short.
I think at this point you race the 20. You see the 20 on the bottom of your screen coming to pit road. The 24 will assume the lead. I think if you're Rudy Fugle with the situation you have in points right now, you're racing playoff drivers. Kim.
So Adam Stevens and this Christopher Bell team, their hand was forced by other cars stopping. He's going to make a stop. He said he's going to hold it tighter this run. Don't expect any big changes, though, from Bell as they will take tires and put fuel.
A white watch. The Byron Cole. Last stop for the 20. What a day it's been. 154 laps led by Christopher Bell. He's released. I believe the 20 is going to lose a position to the 48 anyway. I don't know if the stop was slow or just maybe my depth perception is off. We're on board with the 48. The 20 is going to be up, way up there on the left, on the apron. The 99 is killing the 48 right here, though. Here we go. That's Bell blending up in front. How quick will the momentum happen? Will the 20 be able to stay in front of the 48? I guess he will. I thought it was going to be closer than that.
He still closed the gap, though.
Yeah.
Marty.
So the answer is Rudy Hugo brought William Byron to pit road. He asked him how the handling was. He said, it's still the same, just a little bit too free. The short one is you'll see a recycle that if you can take advantage of that.
Top of the screen, this will be the race for the win if this is the right strategy. And let me capitalize and bold if the 99 on the racetrack. How about Logano and Hamlin, two playoff drivers that have had unbelievable weeks? Logano in due to penalty. Logano went up and down pit road. Can a fuel strategy win be the difference maker for Logano and Hamlin? A lot of laps to go. But it's going to be interesting to see if you see some damage on the 41, Jeff.
41 to Ryan Priest. He's had a good day today. He's been
Ooh.
fast.
That could have been massive. Watch how quickly this twitches and moves.
So that's low air pressure.
Whoa.
That's what that is right there. He had just come down pit road, had just left 2 laps ago, and that's low air pressure. Car bottoming out.
Let's talk more about Joey Logano.
So Paul Wolf, the crew chief, came on the radio to Joey and said, we are a last turn, stay out. And then both the spotter just said, run hard the next 20 to keep the pressure on the 99 of Daniel Suarez, who is the leader. So this is interesting. I didn't expect them to take a risk like this, but all of us feel like it's not too much of a risk because they're going to try to run this out to the end.
For the 99 of Suarez leads, you just heard that great update from Dylan on the 22 of Logano. So Suarez has really nothing to lose. He's going to go out here and push it. Needs it to start finish now. If you go back, all the way back to Bell, 26 seconds. So it almost is easier to go forward to Bell. So we'll take a look at it. Bell here, though, is coming on new tires. There's Bell and Bowman. They're trying to basically make up this 3/4 of a lap in 32 laps. You're not going to do it unless Suarez, Logano, and Hamlin have to give up so much pace to save fuel. So this is going to be suited. Now, they're making up a lot. They're making up a second a lap. So I take that back, Jeff. Maybe they can make up 30 or 26 seconds.
I think the other key, right, put yourself in Joey Logano's shoes, right? He cannot afford to run out of gas. And he is racing in these playoffs, Steve. So even if he gives up spots here, going a little slower than you want him to, you still can't run out of gas. He can't push too hard.
You've got this fascinating blend of strategies involving the playoff drivers, Logano, Hamlin, Bell, Byron, and Larson. And you see the difference on pace, right? 99 runs the bottom, the one goes right by. That's newer tires, right? The one of Ross Chastain has come to pit road. He's unlapping himself. So that's to give you an idea of just kind of depth of pace. When we say 1 second faster, what does that look like? Well, it looks like that. The one car completely out of the screen on the 99.
And Joey Logano, he is one of the very best at saving fuel. If I need somebody to save fuel, Steve, he's a guy I'm going to pick. He has proven he can do it.
The question is, I'm not as concerned about the fuel as the time. Bell's now 23.5 beyond. He's taken 3 seconds out in the last few laps. 29, I mean, do the math. There are 29 laps to go, 23 seconds back, about 0.85 a lap, and he's going to catch him or not. Yeah. This really comes down, I'll tell you, Diff, this comes down to traffic. It'll come down to 1 or 2, 3 laps. It'll be somebody that Bell catches wrong and loses speed, or Suarez and Logano catch wrong and you lose speed. Like, traffic is going to kind of really show this trend line more than our overall speed.
The other thing we have to remember is that Logano was running 11th or 12th when this sequence started. So it may not be about winning the race for Logano, but getting a better finish.
But if he does win the race, 2-time champ. Guess what he did both years he was the champion? Won the first race of this round.
Yeah.
That'd be a trend I'd like to continue if I'm Paul Wolf.
And what did he do once we began the playoffs? Won in Atlanta.
Yeah.
To get the round of 16 going.
Think about Hamlin running third, right? I mean, he's 7 points below the cut line, but he hasn't really been in the top 3 all day. This would be a huge saving of a day for the 11 team.
27 to go from this point. We keep looking at that gap
From Suarez, the leader, to Christopher Bell, who has been the standout car all day. It's now down to 21.6 seconds. So it was 26 seconds not that long ago.
What's 21 seconds look like? Well, let's show you basically Las Vegas Motor Speedway. You see on the bottom right there, 99 is the leader. The 20 is trying to catch. He's trying to go all the way around this way, trying to catch the 99. It looks like forever, but at 1 second a lap, you see he's more than a half a lap down. We'll come back in 6, 7, or 8 laps, and I bet he is a half a lap down or less. The 20 really making time. I love that map. That really shows you. So as a crew chief, this is how you visualize almost like a circle or the clock. You look at the racetrack itself as just distance.
These are the situations right here that you got to make this pass quickly. Right? Oh, see that little bit of hold up, like 0.3 of a second, something like that can be the difference in catching him or not.
Well, I mentioned Denny Hamlin, who's running third. Let's take a listen and see what they're saying on fuel.
You're safe. Fuel, here's a break. Of course, you're going to slow down. Yeah, you're pleased when you were in all that traffic. Well, fuel savings was fine. In open air, you haven't been saving at all.
So this is where these crew chiefs that are so good have taken the emotion out. There was that was as detailed. In fact, Hamlin asked a very simple question. So we're on the same page. What you're asking me to do, I'm going to slow down. Yes, that is your instruction. And it's just so, it's refreshing to listen to teams under all this pressure trying to find a way to kind of solve this puzzle in a different manner.
In traffic, you were good. When you're out in open, clean air by yourself, I need you to be a bit better.
So he's looking at, you see, minus 4.9 for Hamlin, 6.7 behind. So you have almost 2 seconds back to fourth. Look at the next one, though. You have 10 seconds back to fifth. So he's predicting new tires catching and who else is moving around.
Again, he was running 15th or so. Right. The cycle started, so it may not be about winning the race. It's just getting the best finish you can.
You know, to kind of chart this out on what it looks like right here, at their current pace, Bell gets a Suarez with about 2 to go. Now that's, you know, a lot of mathematical guessing on the last 23 laps of how they're going to kind of pick up. We hear about these teams' war rooms. I can assure you both the 99 and the 20 know that predictive software I just told you about. We'll see if it works. And if you're Bell, just like we heard Hamlin, you're now hearing Bell say, hey, if you want to catch him, we need more pace. So are you there?
We did not waste any time. Let's go.
So their software tells them 3 or 4 to go. So now Adam Stevens, because you don't want to get outdone, and Bell say, well, I didn't know it was going to be that close. He goes, no, it's going to be this close. You got to go. We should catch him, but we got to go.
16.4 seconds. It was at 26 seconds when we started logging it. There's Adam Stevens.
Adam Stevens, just so much experience.
Think about when he was an engineer, worked with Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, it's a crew chief. So many great drivers and characters, and he knows all about pressure situations.
It's pretty clear for Christopher Bell what he needs to do. Just make lap time. But for Suarez and Logano, and I think for Logano it's even harder because he can see the lead in front of him. The temptation is to push a little bit harder than you really need to, because the lead and the ticket to win a championship in Phoenix is right in front of you. You cannot push too hard and run yourself out of fuel.
Well, let's take a look what the 22's doing. We're going to see the 21 in front, wide open down the straightaways. I'd be shocked if you see any brake. No red, because you just let the car coast. Part throttle, wide open throttle. Probably runs wide open down the straightaways. It's just not a lot of way to save fuel here other than being the gas less, Jeff. I mean, use less brake.
You heard it. You heard Chris Gabehart tell Denny Hamlin, no brake, no brake. The reason why is because that slows the car down. To recover that pace, you have to use more throttle. So you do not want to slow it down any more than you absolutely have to make the corner.
19 to go, and 14.5 seconds is the gap from Suarez to Bell.
All right, so 7 laps ago, we kind of put that track map up. It was about almost 3/4 of a lap different between the 99 and the 20. So let's take another peek. We'll put the map back up and let's see. We have the 99. Let's see compared to the 20. Start-finish line's a pretty good way. The 20 was over about a 3/4 of a lap down. 20 at the start-finish. Now, definitely less than a half a lap. So he is making up big chunks on the 20.
13.5.
On the 99, yes.
Keep watching that top left of your screen. Just keep watching the Bell deficit to Suarez, and it just keeps decreasing.
Just so exciting to see which one of these plans they deviated, and it was a mark in time. You either were going to pit or you weren't. I like the 20s call. I love the 24s call to chase him down pit road and race the playoff cars. And Logano and Hamlin, I didn't think this gamble was on the table, but they're proving me wrong. And that's what I love about this garage and this pit road and these crew chiefs. They are not afraid to find a new way. Data analytics and engineering is changing the picture of NASCAR as well as every sport. They all look different today. This is an example of it.
Jeff, for this man we ride with here, Christopher Bell, if he comes away with anything other than a win, when you've led in excess of 150 laps, it's been the car to beat all day. Can he do it? Less than 12 seconds now, 11.8.
Well, the frustration would certainly be high. A second faster that lap. 16 to go, 11 seconds back.
So let's look at the difference, right? You see 20 kind of out of the gas a little bit, but look right back to wide open throttle. His top speed's going to be probably north of 190 miles an hour. Even to use a little bit of brake. You look at Suarez, he's running about a second slower. He's just off the throttle longer. So it's not like it's part throttle. I'm talking up here, right? He's still wide open down the straightaways. Rolls out, though, no brake being used. You look at the 20 at the bottom of the screen. When he drives down to turn 3, you see if he uses a little brake. Just to set the nose, Jeff, like just a little drag of the brake. Yeah, right. I mean, just a little, but some. Very little. That was too much for Gavehart, though. He wanted no brake.
So 31.70 for Suarez. 30.80 for Christopher Bell. 9/10 of a second.
And the gap under 10 seconds. 9.8. He has brought that from some 30 seconds behind. We started tracking it at 26 seconds.
Now, what we don't know is how much has the 99 saved.
Yeah, that's right.
He might have some more speed left in that car.
Also playing the same game. John Hunter Nemechek, who runs fourth as Suarez.
Look at the 20. Look what's in front of him. He's got to get by these cars quickly. His pace will come down as he catches all these cars. Almost a second faster that lap.
8.8 seconds.
Getting a little help right here.
13 to go.
That was weird. I thought he could have just jumped to the outside of him, but he was wanting the bottom.
That's Nemechek. And another one off his list.
That ate up some time, though. Let's see what that lap time was. Yep, 31.24. That's almost a half a second slower than the lap before.
Jeff, we talked about it. It's going to come down to 2 or 3 laps, 2 or 3 passes over a 60-lap run. That's going to make the difference for the 20 car.
Dylan, what you got? Just giving updates on the 22 for Logano, listening to Paul Wolf, the crew chief, and Coleman Presley, who also has all kinds of data up on top of the spotter stand. They feel like that it's probably inevitable that Bell gets them. So their instruction now, try to run hard here, and then after the 20 gets by us, we'll manage then. But then Paul just came back on the radio and said, well, if he hits traffic, he may not get to us. So the gap is shrinking between Logano and Suarez, the leader. So I think their plan now is to try to go up here and maybe race for the lead and just hope that Bell doesn't get to him.
What's the question mark? Every equation has a variable. In racing, and in this specific instance, the variable is traffic. You can predict all you want, but as long as there's a variable inside the equation, you really don't know the answer.
Mr. Royale is just hung up in all sorts of traffic right here. I mean, his pace came down by 0.4 of a second for 3 laps in a row.
He's going to fight his teammate Denny Hamlin, fellow playoff driver. Hamlin's third. There he is. Bell should make quick work of this. And does. All right, that's Bell now up to third. 6.6 seconds in arrears.
And look at the other gap. Logano is under a second. I know the 20's in traffic, but I believe the 22 can get the 99 on raw speed. 9 laps to go. A lot to be answered. Playoff drivers second, third, and fourth.
Can you imagine if Joey Logano won this race after last week? Look at that. Look at this. Teammates helping.
Drafting down the straightaway for more raw speed. That pink car to the left, that's leader Daniel Suarez. If you got to gamble, go all in. Push your chips in. Can you win the first race of the round?
A week ago, he was out.
This is unbelievable.
Good at the Roval. but it wasn't enough.
I think Blaney's got fresher
Riddick,
tires.
Riddick had made it. And Logano was out, and Joey said, well, I knew that we were still in on the owner's points, but I was out from the driver's championship standpoint. But he said, so we're still going to race them. And then on the way home, I started hearing a few things about tech. And then I found out the news. First and second, third now on the same straightaway. Christopher Bell, what is 5 seconds? Pink car first, yellow car second. Start finish line behind, you'll see Bell not very far behind. He's going to jump into the picture. He's right there. Black hood, white nose, that's Bell. Not a lot of traffic between him and the leaders now, Jeff. And just like the Penske duo, the JGR teammates are together. With Gibbs trying to help the best that he can from behind Bell.
This is crazy.
There's Logano. And way up high is Ryan Blaney. He's got his own story to tell today, unfortunately. But started in a backup car after the practice crash yesterday. And he's trying to do everything he can to help his Team Penske teammate. We are inside 6 laps. And Christopher Bell has to make up a 4.2 second deficit.
He's 0.8 of a second faster that lap.
You see right here, racing on your left, top right, crew chief of the 22, Paul Wolf. Bottom right, crew chief of Christopher Bell, Adam Steve.
Side by side for the lead. 5 laps to go. Logano to the inside of Suarez. Blaney trying to help the 22 car out. It is a race for the finish. Bell on fresher tires trying to push the pace behind them. Still a fuel mileage race for the 22 and the 99. We don't know if they can make it, but the 20 is coming, and he's now only 2.8 seconds off the race lead. Blaney may try to be a tough pass for Christopher Bell. I would not be shocked. He helped his teammate get to Suarez quicker with the bump drafting down the straightaway. Logano, who is a multi-time winner at Vegas in his Cup career, trying to lock himself into the championship 4 once again. He leads Suarez by a half a second. 2.5 seconds back is Christopher Bell in third. Spot for the championship 4 on the line between Logano and Bell. William Byron, same strategy as Bell, pushing the pace, fresh tires, plenty good on fuel to the finish, is about another 1.5 to 2 seconds behind where the 20 car is. 3 laps to go. That last lap, Joey Logano ran a 31.768 to Christopher Bell's 31.127. Bell was 0.6 quicker. Bell just struggling maybe a little more in lap traffic at times compared to other cars. 2 to go now for Joey Logano as he exits turn 4. 1.8 seconds ahead of Christopher Bell. Undoubtedly, Bell all day long has had the fastest car in the field. He's putting that on full display in this comeback run after pitting middle of this final green flag stint to the finish. Ryan Blaney still right in line behind Joey Logano. They continue to try to work together. While the 20 car of Christopher Bell's a second off the race lead as they come to the white flag. 1 lap to go. Bell still in third as he's trying to gain on Daniel Suarez. Looking to the inside, Suarez with a half block on Bell. Bell has to pass him to the bottom into turn 1. He's up to second. And as they exit turn 2, Bell trying to gain on Blaney and Logano. Big run for Bell into 3 and 4 for the final time. Logano on fumes is going to be able to make it. Bell about a half a lap to a full lap short of catching Joey Logano. Logano a winner at Las Vegas. And Bell, who dominated the day, ends up a close second place, 0.6 of a second off the lead. The pace he was running so early in the run made me believe he was going to catch him easily. But catching traffic in the wrong spots and Logano's fuel management allows for him to win and steal one. Third victory of the season for Joey Logano and his 7th career championship 4 appearance, most of any driver all time. Obviously only having the playoff format that we have with 16 drivers in the championship 4 elimination style bracket since 2014, but in 11 years he has made the championship 4 now 7 times. All in even year for any of those fans wondering. And now burning it down on the front stretch. Ryan Blaney helping him along the way with those pushes, I think, was just enough to cover those 0.6 of a second. Because he was helping him for about those last 10 laps or so, pushing him down the straightaways. He had fresher tires because he had actually pitted during the run when Logano didn't. And you know what they say, teamwork makes the dream work. Never seen anything like that before on a 1.5 miles. It worked. Really, I mean, to perfection. The only thing with Blaney, I feel like that hurts him a little more because Logano was the first driver he was trying to catch on points to begin with. And now he's even further behind the cut line. Logano just blew out the rear tires on the car in the victory celebration. I saw the left rear tire pop. Committed to burning it down until she blew. Can't deny Logano one of the best at burnouts, I will say. His race didn't even think he was in the round of 8, and now he's in the championship 4. A miracle playoff run continues for the driver of the 22, and here is your race winner with his front stretch interview.
Showing why he's one of the most clutch drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series. Paul Wolf showing why he is one of the best strategists on pit road. They didn't have the fastest car, but that didn't matter because Logano's going to race for a championship in Phoenix. How intense was that final run behind the wheel, Joey?
Man, we do some fuel mileage stuff, don't we? Holy cow.
Yes, you can.
What an incredible turn of events here last week. What a very fast Pennzoil Mustang. And we got the Joe Kids crew here today, and a lot of kids rooting us on, so it was really special to win in front of them again. Hey, to my kids at home, I wish you guys were out here, but we're going to championship 4 again. I don't know the deals with the even year thing, but maybe it's real. But thanks to the fans out here. Thanks to Rush Chase Engines for making great fuel mileage. Great calls by Paul. Nick Hensley, our gas man, making sure she's full, giving me the good info I need to save fuel and keep the lead that we needed to. And boy, we're going racing again. What an incredible situation, man. I'm so blessed.
Yeah, take me behind the wheel. How disciplined did you have to be during that run, saving fuel, keeping pace, and knowing the 20 was catching you very fast?
Coleman up there in the spotter stand working with Paul. And our engineer Shaggy and Joe back at home, everybody does a good job at just feeding the info that I needed. You got to go the right pace to make sure you get in front of the 99, but not, get to where the 20 was going to catch me. And so just an incredible day. Like I said, it takes the whole team to do the fuel mileage stuff. It's not just the engine or the engineers or the driver or the spotter. It takes all of us together to do it. So total team win. We may not have been the fastest car today, but we were a solid top 5 car and being able to maximize it at the end.
They found a way once again. Joey Logano in the championship 4. And Kim, Lee mentioned it. They've done this twice before. Both times they won the first race in the round of 8. They won the title.
Yeah, Marty, elation for Joey Logano. On the flip side of that, complete disappointment for Christopher Bell. Comes up 1 spot short from locking himself into the championship 4. I heard the frustration pegged there on the radio at the end of the race. How do you come to terms with how that race played out?
I don't know. I don't know, and I don't think I've come to terms yet. So I don't know. Just a bummer. I think everyone on this team did everything perfect today. This thing was obviously on rails. Pit crew did an amazing job. Adam called a great race. Did everything we needed to put this ring camera in victory lane, and unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be today.
2 years in a row, you've seen disappointment right here at this racetrack, but then rebounded. Last year, you found a spot in the championship 4, winning in this round. How do you use this to fuel you next weekend at Homestead?
It's a whole new race next week. This track means nothing for next week, and fortunately, we were able to go and win in Homestead, but nothing's guaranteed. Just because I ran second today doesn't mean that I'm going to finish, anywhere next week. So you're never safe in this deal. So we needed to win today, and unfortunately we didn't.
We'll go on to the next one.
A very strong day for Christopher Loma's team, but ultimately just a huge disappointment how it played out for them.
In life and in sport, you get opportunities, and then you got to capitalize on those opportunities. And Joey Logano is living proof of that. Last week out, then in. Today, a winner and has a shot at a third NASCAR Cup Series championship. Can you believe what we just saw here in Vegas? Diligence, patience, execution, key ingredients, and getting this man here to Phoenix. We'll be back with more.
Upset win here for Joey Logano yet again in the NASCAR postseason of 2024. His second win of the playoffs alone. Third win total on the season. Second fuel mileage win this year. He had a fuel mileage win back at Nashville, which really was the sole reason he made the playoffs. If he did not win that race, he would not have made it on points. Just crazy season as a whole with upset winners and all that. But, I mean, I said it at the top of the show. His best chance to win was going to be Martinsville in the playoffs. And here he goes winning a fuel mileage race at Las Vegas today. That last caution put us in this weird spot. And I don't think anybody was actually short on fuel of those that tried to stretch it out. There were very few that did try to stretch the fuel run to finish this race out. Obviously, Logano finished top 10, 8th and 9th. I think Corey LaJoie tried to push it on fuel as well. He made it, finished 14th. And I think those might have been the only 5. I think those were the only 5 drivers that tried to push the pace here for the fuel mileage. And they made it to the end, and now the points gap between Byron and Hamlin, 27 points. As we enter next week at Homestead. Kyle Larson plus 35 and plus 42 for Christopher Bell. I mentioned Hamlin first driver out at minus 27. Minus 30 points for Tyler Reddick. Ryan Blaney minus 47 with the Logano win. And Elliott minus 53. Logano was the 8th seed of these final 8, and he's the first one in the championship 4 with the win here today. Still 2 more races to go in the round, of course, at Homestead next weekend, as I mentioned, and at Martinsville the weekend after before Phoenix. But 3 drivers now trying to go for those final 7 drivers trying to go for those final 3 spots. Here's William Byron, who ended up finishing 4th today.
Just kind of had the day you needed to have points-wise. Is that how it felt behind the wheel? Up with the car and the racetrack. So it was pretty dire there in the beginning of the race. And then we had that 2-tire call, got a bunch of stage 1 points. And then we just really managed our race well and had a really a good shot at winning there in the last stage. The 20 was really good. And just, it came down to fuel mileage there, which, just a bummer because we were scoring a lot of points and in the hunt for the win and then didn't get a chance to fight for it there at the end. So we'll go to Homestead. It's a really good track for us and work on a few things and should be able to have a really good day there. Thanks, William.
2 things I love there, Div. First, we got to win. I like that attitude. I don't think that's what has to happen. But I love that that's what he thinks has to happen. That's the aggressive nature.
I mean, you just don't know. Even though we got that big points gap, 27th between 4th and 5th. I mean, we saw Logano, who was 8th in points today and won. And I don't think anybody was considering him a contender. He ran top 10 all day, put himself in the position that he was close enough to the front of the field that trying this strategy, he was able to win. Because like I mentioned already, there were a couple other drivers that were trying to save field to the end of the race as well and didn't finish ahead of Bell. Daniel Suarez, Denny Hamlin, John Hunter Nemechek. They were too far back in the field on the restart that by the time we had the split strategy of drivers trying to save and drivers trying to pit, the only one close enough at the front of the field that restarted again in the top 10, Joey Logano, had the track position at that time and still was able to keep enough pace during that final run on top of saving gas, was fast enough for that reason to be able to hold off Christopher Bell and put this complete race together here today. Other race statistics in this one, again, margin of victory, 0.6 of a second. We had 21 cars finish on the lead lap. Our total time on this race, 2 hours, 52 minutes, 24 seconds. 138.2 mile per hour average race speed. Here's Denny Hamlin on pit road following a top 10, 8th place for him.
Just not a clean day. That certainly kind of sums it up. But you'll have that, and we'll just do the best we can to get the best finish. I thought Chris did a great job, trying to get some sort of finish. We just, once we lost the track position early, he was doing everything he could to try to get it back through some alternate strategy, and then it goes long there, and we fall back to the back. So
The team as we move forward. How do you feel about your points position where you are with Miami and Martinsville coming up?
yeah, I mean, I don't know where we're at, but certainly we're not running, quite as strong as what we were earlier in the year, and we're definitely not as clean execution-wise as what we were. So just got to clean it up and go to Homestead and try to win it.
There you go. Denny Hamlin officially minus 27 leaving Las Vegas.
Kyle Larson rebounds to finish 11th after at one point being 2 laps down. What kind of battle was out there for you and the team today?
Yeah, it was a very tough battle. Yeah, just a bit of a fight all day. The first races of each round have not been easy. So, proud to get what we could out of the day. The end of the first stage didn't work out for us, and then we had to repair whatever was stuck in our nose. And nowhere came that much quicker than I thought I would, and was happy with where I was running before the green flag cycle. Thought we would, probably finish that stage in 3rd or 4th, and then our pit stop was super messy. So yeah, that was a bummer, but we were able to fight to stay 1 lap down, and then fight to get in that lucky dog position and get back to the lead lap. And then yeah, this wasn't quite great there the last 2 runs, but yeah, we made the most of it. So could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, Kyle Larson seen leave and head to Homestead Miami plus 35 to the elimination line.
And those key words, made the most of it, could have been worse. Yes, to come away with 11th was pretty good considering Brad and DJ where at one point in time Kyle Larson was.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Really.
Huge momentum for the 22 team of Joey Logano today. We'll go through the full field finishing results here. Again, Logano with the race win. Christopher Bell, who dominated, led the most laps, finishes in second. More on the other race statistics following the finishing order as to who led how many laps in the race today, stages, and how that went. Daniel Suarez finishes in third. Solid finish for him. Really was in the top 10, along with Logano in that last restart, put him in that position with the fuel mileage race to get himself a top 3. So good finish there, and a good car throughout the course of the race for the 99 team. William Byron ends up finishing in 4th. Alex Bowman in 5th. He ran top 5 for most of this race, especially in the first stage and the third stage. Not as much in stage 2, but had a great car, got a top 5 run out of it, and was 3rd on the strategy of those that didn't try to save fuel to the end of the race. So he definitely had good speed. Martin Truex Jr. finishes in 6th today. Led some laps at one point. Ross Chastain finishes 7th. Denny Hamlin on fuel mileage finishes 8th. Same for John Hunter Nemechek in 9th. Chris Buescher rounds out the top 10 in 10th. Kyle Larson in 11th. Bubba Wallace 12th. Kyle Busch 13th. Corey LaJoie 14th. 15th for Harrison Burton. 16th for Zane Smith. Justin Haley 17th. Noah Gragson 18th. Daniel Hemrick 19th. And Michael McDowell in 20th. Last car in the lead lap was Cody Ware in 21st. Ryan Preece a lap down in 22nd. Same for Carson Hocevar in 23rd. Josh Berry 24th. Eric Jones 25th. Chase Briscoe 26th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 27th. Jimmy Johnson 2 laps down in 28th. Same for Shane Van Gisbergen in 29th. Ty Gibbs 3 laps down in 30th after his spin and a pit road speeding penalty in stage 2. Todd Gilliland had a flat tire towards the end of stage 2 on the left rear. He finished 4 laps down in 31st. Ryan Blaney finished the race after his incident back in stage 2 that he was involved in, broke a right rear toe link, dropped him off the lead lap, didn't have the same speed sense, cleared the DVP clock, still finishes the race, but in 32nd, 8 laps down. Chase Elliott also caught up in that same wreck, cleared the DVP clock, had to go back into the garage for more repairs, dropped him off the lead lap. He finishes 33rd, 37 laps down. Final 4 in the finishing order, all DNF'd. Austin Cindric finishing 34th, Tyler Reddick 35th, Brad Keselowski 36th, and Austin Dillon 37th. Violent crash also, by the way, for Dillon. Reddick flipped in the race. So there are a couple of big incidences in this one. Joey Logano led just 6 laps in this race today. It was the final 6, the most important 6 with that fuel mileage win. Christopher Bell led over half the laps in this race today. 4 different times he led for 155 laps from the pole. Definitely had the dominant car, but finishes in 2nd. Daniel Suarez led 57 laps on that fuel mileage run towards the finish in stage 3. He also led some laps earlier in the race in stage 2 on fuel and pit strategy as well. He stayed out as long as he could. And actually, I think he stayed out all the way to the end of stage 2, finished top 10 there, which is probably what led them into the strategy of, hey, we made it once, we can make it again. It definitely worked for him. William Byron led just one lap today, but finishes again top 5 and 4th. Martin Truex Jr., as I mentioned, top 10. He finishes 6th, led 7 laps. Denny Hamlin led 4 laps, staying out of the pits at the end of stage 1 was the only laps he led. Really hurt his finishing result at the end of it. Made some of it back up with the fuel mileage run to the finish there as he had a top 10. Kyle Larson led just 1 lap in the race today. So 16-15 on the laps led total for him on the season. Did rally to finish 11th. Came from a lap down after just a horrible pit stop on multiple occasions there in stage 2, which put him a lap down during green flag conditions. Ty Gibbs led for 23 laps in the race today. Was actually running second before the pit road speeding penalty in stage 2. Put him a lap down. Then he spun trying to battle Larson for the free pass position in stage 3. And as a result of that, obviously, ended up finishing 3 laps down, as I mentioned, in 30th. Ryan Blaney led for 4 laps today during green flag pit stops in stage 1. Unfortunately caught up in that early incident in stage 2. As I mentioned, they broke a toe link. Was able to clear the DVP clock to at least stay in front of Elliott in the finishing order. That was really the only position he was able to save. But 1 point, you just never know. Does finish 32nd. And Tyler Reddick, as I mentioned, won stage 1 today, led 9 laps. But got involved in that incident early in stage 2 at lap 88 and ended up upside down. Barrel rolled once in the infield section of the racetrack in the grassy area of the front stretch. Luckily, he is okay. Points-wise, not the case. He's going to be below the cut line as we begin the race next weekend at Homestead. Already mentioned 5 cautions in the race today, 3 for incident, 1 in each stage. Stage ends at lap 80 and 165. In total, we had 10 drivers lead at least 1 lap in the race today, and a total of 14 lead changes amongst those 10 different drivers to lead. So that's our full race analysis. Now it's time to go over the fantasy standings. So we'll check that out here. You can join our NASCAR Fantasy League on the NASCAR mobile app or NASCAR.com website. It is free to join. Chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing the following season, excluding the Daytona 500. Pull that up real quick. As you see on NASCAR.com, which I'm currently at, there'll be a Fantasy Live tab where the quick link section is on the website, or the 3 bars at the top left-hand corner of the screen on the NASCAR app. Our league name is the KRC League. When you go to join, again, it is free. All you need is your email to sign up. I'll put it in the chat real quick. KRC in all caps, space capital L on league. So that is the league you'll want to join. Bonus points today. I had Bell over Larson. Bell was my win pick. Still stuck at 5 win picks on the season. Almost had it. He dominated. William Byron ends up with the 4th place run today. He beat Hamlin. And I did not get the other 2 bonus points. I had Elliott ahead of Logano. Logano obviously won. And I had Reddick ahead of Blaney, both involved in the same incident, but Reddick DNF. Blaney did not, so Blaney had the better finish. So 20 on the bonus point side of things. On the team, I had Christopher Bell, who had the most points of any driver today, finished 2nd. Denny Hamlin with the top 10 despite no stage points. Byron with a bunch of stage points, top 5. Larson 11th. Not a great day that I would have hoped for the fantasy team. And Ross Chastain at the end of the race did finish top 10 in 7th, so he had a good finish as well. Our points leader at the end of the day today, Hercules Harrigan, wins our Las Vegas playoff race with 237 points. She came in 4th, I believe, in the point standings coming in, so that's a good chunk she'll gain. We're giving Buckeye Racing Team with 235 points, finishes 2nd this week. EC23 in 3rd, a tie for 3rd with Troy the Great. And then Ghost NYX with 224 points rounds out our top 5 in 5th. I ended up 9th this week, 208 points as well. So our points leader coming into the week, Inside Uranus, not a great performance for him. 13th, 172. So loses 50 points to that of Hercules Harrigan. I think she was like 80 points back, so really cut into that lead this weekend. Frank T26 was 2nd in points, also finished outside the top 10. Monster Jam X10 was our regular season champ, only ended up with 99 points today, so pretty crazy. Going to have a big swing in that point standings going into next weekend at Homestead. Again, just 3 races to go. So that is going to wrap up our stream today. Actually, before that, for one, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Our start times for next weekend's live commentary action Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series will all be at Homestead Miami Speedway. A triple header on Saturday beginning 9 a.m. Set your alarms. 9 a.m. We'll be live on the channel for NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying. And that will be the first of 3 streams that day. Our second stream will be the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at noon Eastern Time, followed by our main event that day of the NASCAR Xfinity Series at 4 p.m. Eastern that afternoon, also at Homestead. So that is our triple header Saturday. Long day of streaming on the channel there, but I'll be ready for it. We had a few triple headers early in the year. It's been a minute, but we will have another one next week. Our Cup Series race on Sunday, same start time as the last 2 weeks now, 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll go live for that, and I hope to see you for that and much more NASCAR 7 content during the week. We'll be streaming 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Milwaukee Mile, our next Busch race on NASCAR 7, will be our next stream entirely. Again, hopefully you enjoyed. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, everybody. Thanks for watching. As always, congratulations to Joey Logano clinching a spot in the Championship 4, getting his 3rd win of the season here at Vegas today. And hope to see you again next time. Have a good rest of your Sunday, everyone. And go Pack Go, by the way. I saw they won last-second field goal. I unfortunately didn't get to watch most of that game today, but I was kind of score tracking it periodically. About an hour after the game was over, I checked the score. I'm like, cool, they won last-second field goal, so good for them. 5-2. Unfortunately, that kind of numbs the pain of my favorite driver getting in a wreck earlier and now in a huge points deficit going into Homestead. So, we'll see. And thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good rest of your night.